All right, well, call the meeting to order at 1 p.m. The town of Smoky Lakes respectfully acknowledges that we are situated on Treaty 6 territory, the traditional lands of First Nations and Indian people. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Dawn?
I have a letter to the minister, but do you want me to just include that under the president's summit?
Yep. Yeah.
If I want, okay, so I'll just include that there, and then regional GIS, we need another motion, so that can go under 13.1, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Carly handed those already.
All right. Anything else? Marianne?
Just a question, I don't think it's an actual petition, but for clarity, the property described in 7.3, property from the public tax auction sale, would that be the same or similar to what is going to be discussed in 14.4 closed session?
No, because this can be discussed in open, because it's our property and it's just about how we're moving forward. The other one is to update you on some privacy and the discussion is around personal privacy.
Okay, so it's not the same. Okay, thank you.
No, you're welcome.
So in the heading directions, yeah.
Mel?
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda with the addition of the GIS.
Regional GIS?
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, so carried. All right, we'll move to 3.1, November 4th, 2024 regular council meeting minutes. Marianne?
I move to accept the minutes as presented from the November 4th regular council meeting.
All in favor? Any opposed? And then will be carried. Evan?
I'll make the motion that town of Smoky Lake accept the November 25th, 2024 budget meeting minutes as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, so carried. And 3.3, Mel?
I'd like to make a motion that Town of Smoky Lake. I'm not.
Regular.
Yeah, I'm just gonna make a motion to accept the November 25th, 2024 regular council meeting minutes.
All in favor? Or did you have a discussion about the minutes?
So yes, I do.
Okay.
Sorry. Well, the motion could still stand. So
Yeah.
2.3, discussion on minutes from November 25th, page 32, or if it's page 32 of 152 or 14 of 16, whichever page you're using at the bottom. And it's more of just a couple typos, but it could impact the context. So under motion 716, the typo is the plan is 82Y, and I believe it should be 872NY. So
I
that
have to go check, is that okay?
so page 32.
Yeah, I mean, I just need to look at the RFP. to
Oh,
see.
sorry.
Um,
Because it's right above there as well, right?
oh, I see. Okay,
And then, not a big one, but just the next motion, 717, just a little typo, and I'm smiling because it's the first part of the sentence. It says the funds, and I believe it should be funds.
okay, yeah.
Good to have
Not
you.
funds?
That one's not as much as context, but
Yes,
I
but-
think for 716, we should have that plan accurate, right? That needed to be planned.
All right, so we'll make the motion with amendment.
For the amendment. With the amendment.
I wouldn't be me if I didn't.
Good for you.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, so carried. 3.4, November 25th, 2024 budget regular council meeting actions. Marianne?
Okay, so before I make the motion, and I want to thank you for, so I want to pay attention to the last one. It's the last one on page 35, and thank you, Carly, for doing that and marking it as complete. My question to admin is, I'm wondering, have we heard anything back yet, or is that too positive to think that?
No,
And
it's not.
since we've been doing it a little while, and if we
Sorry.
mark it
To
complete.
clarify this though,
Yeah.
well, it was sent,
Yeah.
that's why it's
Yeah.
complete, but that doesn't stop us from tracking we still have another action of getting the agreement in place, that's still not completed, right? So we haven't lost track of the action, but the action of sending the letter is complete.
Okay, so we don't need a subsequent
No,
motion then?
no, we still have it tracked in another action, yes, previous, for
Oh, okay, so then, do you think am I hopeful to have an update? We have an update for January 27th?
it's in their hands, but I would hope so. But what I was gonna say is we didn't send the letter till last week,
Which one?
the letter to Aspen View.
Motion 681.
We sent the letter, beginning of last week.
Because I had reached out to the superintendent and said, this is what's happening with council. Do you want to nudge your board before we send this letter? And he's like, I said, this is why, I keep coming back and bugging you and annoying people. I get that, but this is where we're at. So I was hoping that would be enough, and it wasn't. So then we sent the letter before their board meeting. We made sure it went before their board meeting, but I believe they just had their board meeting on 12. Yeah, so since they just had their board meeting 4 days ago. Hopefully we'll hear back. I'm hoping in the next week or so, but yes, we will keep you updated.
Okay, thanks. By me then, I'd like to. Right, I'd like to move that we adopt the action list from the regular council meeting and the budget meeting on November 25th, as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, okay. All right. We move to our delegations, so 4.1, please. You're more than welcome to come up front and.
Yes, thank you. Well, thank you for inviting me.
We can do a real quick introduction just so that anybody.
I know,
Everyone.
everyone.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so this is the first time I've been invited to talk about the budget, so I was freaking out a little bit and called Carly. But, so I'm just gonna go over it, and if you have any questions, please let me know. Before I start, I just want to say thank you so much to the town for all your support. We could not do what we're doing at the library without you, and we are totally aware of that, and we really appreciate that. We help so many people every day, every week, from all walks of life, and yeah, we couldn't do it without the funding that we get from you guys, so thank you. Okay, our budget for 2025 is not that exciting. It is the same as last year, so we just added a little more for our office expenses because things have gone up. And we did do a change with our printing last year, so we do color printing now, which we didn't do before. So it's just costing us a little more in ink. But we are getting the money back in fees, but we have to, it shows like we're spending more, but we should be getting it back, so. Anyway, and then we also have added $500 extra for computers because we have 2 computers that are ancient and the kids will not use them. They're really, really old and they need to be replaced next year. Those are the 2 major things. We have a slight increase in employment wages for $900 for the entire year. And that's it. Other than that, it's the same as last year. If the budget looks a little hard, I guess. I think Melody had a little bit of hard thing with it when we were doing it. Our budget is always based on us not getting the grants we're applying for that year. So this is if we don't get anything, we don't get program funding, we don't get any of the computer grants we're asking for, we don't get anything in the year. This is what it's based on, because we want to make sure that we could still go ahead and still run what we want to run if we don't get the grants. So yes, it looks like we're going to spend a lot of money. I agree. But I'm hoping that we're going to be successful in some of all the extra grants. Like we do ask the county of CSS for money for our programming every year. So far, we've always gotten something. I just don't know how much. And we are going to apply for different grants for the computers as well. So yes, it looks like we're going to spend $20,000 more than what we start out with. But that's not always the case. There's also $5,000 in there from the grant, the rural grant that we got for employment and citizenship support. That needs to be spent. That has to be spent before March 31st. So yes, we will be spending that money. So that looks like we were spending extra too, but yes, it's because we got extra money this year to spend. And that's about all I have to say. Any questions?
Yes, Evelyn?
Oh, just to go back to that grant, is that one that you got last year? So you have,
Yes,
that's the rural.
yeah, the rural renewal.
Yes, because I was reading about it, because you had to have it in before, like for this year, you have to have it in before November
Yes.
30th or something. So you've got one from last year. I thought it had to be spent by March of this year.
No, so we applied for it November 2023.
Yes.
So we got the money in April 2024. So it was from April 1st, 2024 till March 31st, 2025.
Okay, then I misunderstood, because it looked at, yeah, when I read it, the dates, it looked like it needed to be spent like right away in the beginning of the year.
No,
Okay,
no, we have till March
okay.
and we will spend it all.
Good. And did you submit an application, is there an application for this year or no?
Because there's only so many libraries that get these. And so we had applied the year before too.
Okay,
The likelihood of us getting it again is very slim. I haven't seen any of the other ones get like a second.
okay,
They're spreading it out to all the rural communities, and I think that's fair.
okay.
So,
Evelyn? Your utilities on that building look pretty high. Is that because of the age of the building? Like, is it drafty windows and so on, like that? $8,000 for your utilities?
it is a double house with 2 furnaces. So we have 2 furnaces running.
Really?
Yes. It's a big building. It's a huge square footage.
Okay. Because I noticed that number was pretty.
Any other questions? If not, oh, Mel?
I don't really have a question, mine's more. specific. The library runs on a very tight budget, and that is big thanks to Lee. She's very, very conscious of how much we spend and on top of everything, so I also wanted to thank you on behalf of the town. You do a great job and the budget looks good. I know I was concerned just because, well, I'm always concerned. Right, because you going year to year, hoping that you get the funds
Yes.
that you need to run the programs. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just one last question. There's opportunity for has it come up in your time at all as a library manager for an intermunicipal board, like to approach the county? Have you guys discussed that at all as a current?
Our board is a mixture of county and town residents. That way, for sure. Yeah, we do try and keep it, the board, like they try and keep it like equal amount from the town and equal from the county, but representation is from both, even though it's a town.
And I'm referring to the intermunicipal, that we can actually, there are 9 libraries across Alberta that have an intermunicipal board. So you can invite Smoky Lake County to be one of the municipalities, so that you would have 2 municipalities. And unfortunately, you would have to do this twice. Because we would have nothing to do with the county, but you could probably, because when I look at how much they contribute to you, I find that amount small, especially because I'm considering that you probably actually get a lot of people from the county who are with library cards. It's not just all locals at the town library.
No, that's true.
So we do have a lot of people from the county who are using our library, and there is opportunity for more money if we looked at an intermunicipal library situation where it would be the county, and then they would do their, there's 9 such models across the province. And so it's something, if that has not been, like you're saying, that's fine, that's okay, I know who to talk to about this. So, and
Yeah, we haven't had that up, so I don't know.
and how many position, you can have up to 10 board members, how many positions are open right now?
1.
Yeah, just the 1 position? Okay. All right,
I think that's it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for coming, Dave.
Thanks for coming.
That's.
Now, we don't see Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, thank you.
All right, hi, Leroy. Yeah, if you're ready.
Yes, I'm on it, ready. So, thank you for inviting me. I think everybody should know me. I'm Leroy Kunik. I am the secretary of the Vilna Bella Citizens on Patrol Association. And I'm assuming I'm here because people liked my presentation on October 24th. I tend to be kind of blunt with these things because when it comes to crime, we have nothing to lose by trying to do something. So I did try to provide everything in the package and I brought a few other things to share. But I really don't know where you want me to start. Did everybody look at the package?
I just handed it out.
I was like, oh no, was this?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so we are a society, we're not municipally led. So we are volunteers, we are reimbursed for our mileage, nothing else.
Okay.
We do patrols usually in pairs, bike, foot, walking. Or bike, foot and driving. Currently, our group has 33 members. So you look at our population size, to have 33 members is pretty good. We have 2 members in Wesetna, 8, 9 in Bellis. About 8 or 9 from Vilna and a couple in the county, and I have a waiting list of 4 members from the town of Smoky Lake. So there is interest in your town.
How many members is ideal in
At least 9. You want to have a full executive and then a few other people, so you can trade off every couple of years, elections and stuff.
Right.
But we've hovered around 14 or 15, and the last 18 months, we've really exploded with interest. We have meetings every second month. We do cooperate with local enforcement. Obviously, we have a liaison officer with the RCMP. So they come to every meeting. And then if we're lucky, we'll get Fish and Wildlife to come as well. And then we also get, we have a board member from the county, completely voluntary, non-voting, and they give reports and stuff going on in the county for crime and stuff and things that they recommend. Like looking for damaged or missing signs on the trail or missing addresses. It's just pretty generic updates, but they're there. We are solely funded, well, not solely funded. We do all our own fundraising. Every few years, we may get a grant from the county, but most of our money comes from fundraising. And we are completely transparent. I have the books with me if you want to know exactly what we do. But on average, with 30 members, we don't even spend $6,000 a year on mileage. If you do your foot patrol or bike patrol, you just claim your hours. And that goes to the association and makes us look good. We were established in June of 2009. So we were, I think, the 2nd or 3rd cops association in Alberta. And as of our last AGM, provincial AGM in September, we are the 2nd most active group in Alberta for mileage. So it's fun.
Marianne?
And thank you, Leroy. I was really inspired about October 24th and I'm glad that you're here and thank you for accommodating us. So in terms of funding, what would be your startup cost to get everything off the ground if you were to, you know, a couple meetings, maybe some advertising or ballpark, and then you mentioned the 6,000 yearly
Yeah.
to operate, but
Startup, very, very little, just the advertising, couple posters, Facebook page. Maybe some refreshments in a hall rental or room rental, you're probably looking at 2,000 at the most. It's very low. In the village of Vilna, the village donates the meeting space and refreshments. But we meet there only 3 times a year. The other 3 times we meet in Bellis. And we are looking to have a meeting in Wesetna this coming year. Not sure where yet. Average meeting is about 2 hours.
If you don't mind me asking a question?
Nope.
You mentioned there's 4 members on the wait list from the town. Does the town need to start up their own society, or is there an option to work with your group?
You can work with us.
Okay.
You don't have to expend money if you don't want to. We'll just expand our,
You just think
Patrolling.
you're doing so good already, and thinking, working under that umbrella, if we can grow the interest, I just
Exactly.
wondered if that would work.
because we're Sentinel explored their own group for about 2 years and they just couldn't do it on their own. So we just absorbed them. And really, from our operationals, it's what, 10 minutes longer in a meeting. It really doesn't make a difference to us.
Evan?
So I know 4 people too. I don't think they're actually the same 4 people that you, like the 4 people that you have from town. Are they new, recent, or have they already been part of your group for a little
No,
bit?
they're completely new.
Okay, because I think I know some of the same 4 people who are interested in starting that group. So are you suggesting that maybe they kind of join with your group for a while and then they're gonna be like the specific
Yeah.
to town, or how they're gonna be scheduled? And then if we end up actually growing the group,
We
then
don't place any limitation on patrols, like all patrolling with Sentinel and Bellas, people can basically wherever we like. Just try and have something to show for it with notes or patrolling.
Okay.
Since nobody looked at the packers on time, I did put in,
Show your example.
yeah, screenshots of the app. Most of our members use Notepad and pen and paper. I use the app. So you log in. And you just uses your GPS on your app, on your phone, your tablet. You put your start time, your end time. It just tracks you. You can take pictures and add notes. And what's beautiful about the app is while you're patrolling, you can drop a pin, put your notes in, so on. Then when you're done, not only do you send to your detachment, but you send to all your members. So they can know that something's going on there, they keep an eye on it, they know they can patrol someplace else, and so on. But everything is recorded that way. 90% of our members just use pen and paper, which is fine, but then we use our fan out. If there's something going on, obviously you call the RCMP first, but then you call more members. And just let them know something's going on and just be aware of it. And it just does work both ways with the RCMP. Many times over the years, I've had the RCMP call us. Can you go for a walking patrol? We got a youth that's run away or a suicide risk or something. We just some extra eyes to see, just to watch from a distance, just to be aware. Or well, last one, actually during our family fun day, we had a probation warrant. And just, you know, you guys are already here, you guys just go for a little walk and just look for this guy a little bit. It works hand in hand, it's really, really nice. You can be as formal as you want, we tend to be a little more casual. But it's a really good system. And yeah, the app is the best way to do it, in my opinion, but if you have nothing to report, pen and paper are fine too. And really, most of the time, we don't even read each other's reports unless something serious, and then we'll talk about it in the group chat. As a member, you do have to do a criminal record check. So not everybody can join. So obviously, it's almost a little rougher. I have 5 or 6 informants that can't be members, but will still call in things to me and I'll call them in. So you still get that communication. I know it's funny, but we'll call them associates. How's that? But the program, are we effective for reducing crime? Yes. Are we a silver bullet? Definitely not. A lot of it is goodwill, morale. People are doing something, they're talking about it, they're talking about things, they're working together. And it really does help the whole image of the town and everything else. You do get a fancy little membership card with your picture, ID number. We have guest speakers coming to our meeting. We're hoping this next guest speaker is on cybersecurity. And we have an AGM every year in September, usually traveling around Alberta. This last year, I believe, was in Red Deer, but they're usually in smaller towns. And also with funding, you can get sponsors. I know Redwater and Sherwood Park have donated vehicles from the auto dealers. Yeah, we use our own and we just throw a decal on its side and so on. And you can patrol as much or as little as you want. Minimum is 4 hours. Crystal and I go out walking a couple times a week. And it is effective. Not this last weekend, the weekend before, I had 3 call-ins the same day. I had a break and enter and 2 abandoned vehicles. So if people are out walking anyways, don't work. It doesn't hurt. And your own community members will know that something's unusual. I'll have, on Main Street, I'll have people say, you know, that car's been there 4 hours. Can you maybe look at it? I'll go walk over, snap the license plate, send it to Anita, she'll check it out. People know what's wrong. They just don't know what to do with the information.
Marianne?
When is your next, do you have a scheduled meeting for?
Yes.
2021?
Yeah, our next meeting is January 16th at the Bellis Curling Rink.
Evelyn, you have a question?
Yeah, 2 questions actually. What's the difference between you and Rural Crime Watch then?
Okay, Rural Crime Watch is completely passive. They don't get off their couches, they look at what's in their yard and stuff like that. We are actually, we are active. We are always walking, we're always driving. And that's the biggest difference, is we're more active. We're more, what's the word? Not flexible, but we're mobile, yes.
So, and then what is your secret sauce for keeping 30 members? Because there's a lot of clubs that are shrinking and can't find new members, but you're saying that out of Vilna, you have 30 people that are participating, and so that averages what, like, how many people are spread out amongst 12 months on the, sounds like you do a lot, but I'm sure that there's others that do a little bit less, but how do you keep people, 30 people
I'm
active?
probably not even in the top 5 for patrolling.
Okay,
We average about 17 people that might actually come to a meeting. We don't charge any membership. Every 6 years you get a t-shirt. And we do a lot of community involvement. So we have the Family Fun Day, that's our barbecue with the car show. We do security for the Bellis Curling Club for their activity day. And we volunteer for stuff like that. To keep people happy, we don't really ask a whole lot. We just want you to be active, and if you can help out with the barbecue, great. But when it comes to especially personal crime and property crime, people have a vested interest. They want to protect themselves and protect their neighbors. So I know we've had a very good group. Our treasurer has been with us 9 years. Our other executive positions, we rotate. We're usually pretty good. I've been secretary now for 3 years. And you know what, just coming together and talking about what you're seeing on your patrols and bonding like that, it really does bring people closer together. So yeah, we're a society, but we all have a strong vested interest in working together. We all have the same things at stake. And plus we only meet every 2 months. There's no, you're not fighting too much amongst each other. But yeah, we have a mixture of different age groups. Everybody does something different. Yeah, I don't really know what the secret is. It just seems to be working. And all it takes is really one incident to get more people to come in, like one break-in.
and I have one last question, because I know that one of the people who would like to join wanted to be here in person to hear your presentation, because they didn't get to hear it when you were at the Ukrainian Hall, but they're gonna be watching us later on YouTube. So the one question his one concern is, and that's what you were talking about, the app, when it comes to taking pictures.
Yep.
Does that not put you a little bit in danger if you're focusing your camera, and like how
Okay,
exactly is that done with this app
So-
and taking pictures?
taking pictures would be like for graffiti, mischief, stuff like that. Anything else, you can record from a distance safely. or you just phone it in. You never, ever engage with people. If anything, you try to be as discreet as possible. That's why I don't use the magnet on my car.
That's wait, sorry.
I don't use the magnet decal on my car.
Okay,
And when I'm walking, people just know I'm walking, so they don't really know if I'm patrolling or not. But, yeah, you just have to be very, very discreet. I will be leaving the handbook with Dawn. And all the as well as, I believe it's in the package, your responsibilities and your safety protocols. And you're always in pairs.
Okay.
So, they do recommend the whole high vis vest and all that fun stuff. I don't, because I like to be as incognito as possible.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
okay. So is that one copy for our office, or do you have to have a second copy so that?
For the office, because of the mail streak, I couldn't get any more copies in time.
Okay,
I have requested 20 more.
and I don't think that will be a problem, because he's interested in coming to your meeting on January 16th anyway,
Even
it's just a matter. So for them, I know two of them have done this, is it, again, you were saying, for those who are interested, they can go get their criminal check done right now and bring it to January 16th, is there anything else that they need to take care of before showing up?
I have there's an application form and that's, yeah, that's about it.
Okay.
You can do the application form at the meeting.
Okay,
It's not terribly formal or strict. As long as you, basically RCP are doing the background checks, so we know you're fine. However, we will point out we have asked members to leave because they've been too aggressive. You're not a vigilante. You can't engage with people. You're not gonna chase people down, and you can never, ever be armed. So by not being armed, you have to put you're in completely defensive position. And you can never let your emotions take over, that you see something, you're not gonna interfere. You can record it after you call it in, but you're not gonna interfere. That answers your question.
well, I hope so too.
I also brought a copy of a patrol sheets, the paper version, but again, a lot of people just make notes. Standard police consent, you get your detachments. The girls are very familiar with it. They'll fill it out with you. As well as a copy of the bylaws, which I just sent out this morning. I don't know, any other questions?
I think so.
I'm sure I'm missing something, 'cause I love talking about it, but
Well, we know where to find you. Sorry, Dawn.
So I just found your Facebook page.
Yes.
So I'm assuming you'll have your next meeting on there.
Yep.
So we could share that on the town page. So
Oh,
if you're
yes.
interested in joining up and to patrol in Smoky Lake, reach out to you, join the meeting, that kind of thing, or give us a call and we'll give you the details kind of thing. Perfect.
yeah, like after the town hall in Smoke Lake, we probably had about 32 hits on our Facebook page.
So I'm thinking even if they started there and maybe that continues regionally, but maybe there's enough that eventually it branches off and becomes it. So, but maybe it's not a need for that. Maybe having a regional group is perfect.
Yeah.
So, okay.
And different groups run differently, like we're casual incognito
Mhm.
patrol when you can. Other groups, they would have uniforms and everything, they take it very seriously. So it's, so for some people, it's their entire life. Because they're that passionate about it. So you'll get a mixture of people, it's fun.
Okay, thanks.
That's good. All right, I think you're done. You're off the hot. Thanks, Leroy.
You're welcome. I think we'll leave this stuff.
Yeah, you can leave it there.
It's you. Okay. Perfect.
All right.
Enjoy those cheers.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Leroy.
Okay, we'll move on to 6.1, administrative reports.
So my report is here for any questions or comments. We did hear you say, basically, it sounded like you maybe wanted a little more details, so, and I did like that Chase gave me a very well laid out, report. And I thought it would be really, especially at that point, we thought there was additional cost for this year for the intern. So we want to make sure we were showing you that he is really contributing and he did a very good job on his report. But as I mentioned, it's actually all grant funding this year anyways. we still want him contributing, obviously, so, very nice report from him. Unfortunately, I did not get the fire report. I know Anita had been out of town that weekend and I did reach out a couple times, but I didn't receive it in time. And Rochelle went on holidays and I didn't get it from her before she left. So unfortunately, we'll have to catch up on hers next month. And as usual, John's is always very well laid out and detailed. So, and I added a little bit more. You'll notice I changed the CAO, I have administration, so then I have my meetings and then just the general highlights and tried to really gather from all the office staff. Crystal, what do you guys, to add a little bit of content there. So it gave a little bit more background to the, on top of the, just your day-to-day normal, operations, a little bit more detail there, so. Yeah, and the water reservoir, that one. Criteria, had some concerns over leak testing it in the winter, so it seemed to, but we've said if it's gonna go past that April 30th, and there's additional engineering that it needs to go back to them, so there's some back and forth right now on that one, it's not finalized, but.
No, is there a question?
Yes. So the CN station, a leak. Do we, so we don't drain CN station for the winter, that's not a thing? No.
Like going forward.
Right. Moving forward, okay, yeah. So we don't use it. Well, one of the issues too is
And we heat it.
we're keeping water, it was the water line that goes up to the bathroom upstairs that isn't used. Right, and then, yeah, so. We're gonna get rid of that washroom, but then there's cost that, but we could cap that line, but that's and it just came apart. It's in the ceiling on the middle floor, so it wasn't freezing or anything like that, it just came apart. So Hank actually, seeing if he's online, I was gonna say something nice though, so it wasn't, but it's funny because, I know, we all know Hank drives around town and, look, notices things. He noticed that the windows were fogged up and came and advised us, but we already knew, we had already been in there that morning at 4, the alarms went off, so, but it was interesting that he caught that there was something different there. I just wanted to, say, wow, I was impressed with that, but I'm like, we were on it already, Hank, we had already been in there and shut off the water and restarted the furnace because it kicked out when it was underwater in the basement. Thank you, John, for going in the basement. So after the water had drained, we could go in while there was water, but yeah. And the quick response from the crew definitely reduced the amount of damages.
Evelyn?
How much damage was done?
We don't know yet. The assessors have been in there and the biggest thing initially, unless you've heard anything since then, the biggest thing initially was to do some testing to make sure it was safe because with the roof ceiling collapsing, we were worried about asbestos as well as electricity. So when we went in, it was like, okay, I wanted to see the damage and then we left and then said nobody else slid in there until we determined that it was safe. We want Noreen, we asked Noreen if she would help us with the value of the, because it was pictures on the wall in that middle room there, right? The desk maybe, and it's funny because apparently Ron Chuck was asking about getting it returned to the museum. He was gonna come see me and I'm like, actually, but I don't think if that had any damage, it appeared to be minimal. Yeah, because water, but it didn't sit in water, right? Water just fell on it and then the floors are hardwood, so at least they're a little more resilient. So we'll know, and then the furnace is in a little dip in the basement, so.
It's in a recessed area and there was some water collected in there.
So it tripped the furnace. I walked in and I said, it's freezing in here, but it hadn't been freezing, so it had tripped it at some point, and so that's being replaced with but as we don't have a dollar amount yet. And we're adding, again, Hank came in to talk to me about that and he mentioned water sensors. I said, that's a fantastic idea. And I ordered a water sensor and temperature sensor for in that building because it's we already have it where we were checking it more often in the winter. We said weekly and then more often when it is really cold. But I've also and not an expensive cost, I have the water sensors at home, right? But it'll send a message to a phone. So we just ordered them on Amazon as well to extra monitoring in that building since it's empty in the winter months. So, yes, and it looks like the pipe just literally came apart, just aging infrastructure. Yeah. Yeah, at a connection point, yeah, so.
Any other questions, Marianne?
Thank you. Mine's not for John, but nice to see you, John. So I'm on page 43 and it's for Pam maybe, or maybe not even a question, but under the development, the second last bullet on page 43, discussion with developer and emails regarding the 911 West Railway Drive. Wonderful news. Anything coming to council in the near future or?
Yeah, yes, that's the plan. I don't know if you have more to add, Pam, I know it's another. Is that in the other property update, Pam, are you listening? I don't know if you're listening.
You can tell I hate
Because there's-
surprises, right?
Yeah, there's another item on the agenda, and it's, oh, there she is, thank you. I don't know if you're bringing that up at the later one, the interest in 911 West Railway Ave.
I didn't really put it in that report
Okay.
because he hasn't provided any more
Right.
information. We're waiting on, but hopefully in the new year, we're gonna have a plan for that one.
Thank
But we
you.
have made, the challenge with that one, and we've kind of talked about that was. If someone's developing there, the services coming in need to be big enough for the entire development, right? So there's that cost on any developer, so, yeah. So we'll see what comes of them,
Yeah, there's no formal plan
Yeah.
or anything else, but
just interest.
he just wanted like the zoning information, the lot size and where the utilities were.
That's exciting.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
And do you want to stay just in case there's more development?
Oh, sure.
Sure, we're just on the admin reports.
Yeah, I
And
will.
we've talked about the signage that's on that property. So according to the agreement, the signage stays up until we do actually something with the property and then they
Until
take them
it's
down.
sold.
Until it's sold, until we turn around and sell it.
And he did say he would, I don't know if he has yet, he was going to update because I mentioned that there was comments that some of the sign, at least one of the signs was aging a little, he was gonna look at replacing that as well.
So who's gonna look at the, sorry,
Dell.
didn't catch this.
Adele said he would look at I said,
Dell is looking at it.
what's his signs?
Or
The signs.
The signs are.
He's the lessee on the signs and he's required to maintain them, right? So the comment that was made at our workshop was that one of the signs was looking a little dated, so he was gonna look at fixing it.
Okay.
So I don't.
All right, any other questions? If not, I think it's Evelyn's turn.
Make the motion that town of Smoky Lake accept for information the administrative report for November 20th to December 10th, 2024.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, so carried. All right, we'll now move to the.
Come back for your items.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Can I just make one comment? It has nothing to do with the motion. The rig looks good. Thank you. I meant to tell you that earlier.
Actually like
your ring.
under the ice
Oh, it does, yeah.
as well, but
Looks great.
yeah,
No,
there's lights
Mine
under
has
the
it.
ice for the lines.
Yeah.
I'm coming out skating.
Not as fancy as yours, but still pretty cool.
Next time.
Yeah, the lights were
Step it up.
fantastic. That was very cool to see.
All right, 7.1. Delegations, Smoky Lake Library. No?
Make a motion to accept for information, the presentation from Smoky Lake Library 2025 budget by Lee Van Bart.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, so carried. And 7.2, delegation, citizens on patrol.
Oh, we need a second
Sorry.
motion there.
Oh,
Sorry.
what?
Second budget.
Oh, it's not an option. Go ahead. Mary Ann.
Oh, okay. I would like to move that the town of Smoky Lake approve the town of Smoky Lake's annual contribution to the Smoky Lake Public Library under local appropriation cash transfer from your municipality for operations in the amount of $31,500 and be funded from the 2025 operating budget entitled Library Town Subsidy.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, so carried. Thank you, Mary. 7.2, delegation citizens on patrol. Mayor, Evelyn?
I'll move that Town of Smoky Lake accept for information the presentation of the Citizens on Patrol COP program by Leroy Kunick, representative of Vilna Citizens on Patrol, in response to motion 699-2024.
All in favor?
Aye,
None opposed, so carried.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Terry?
I was wondering if council would like to entertain a motion to put that on our website. Just the meeting dates, even though it's, you know, every 2 months or something like that, if administration could stay in touch with them and just keep it up to date on our website.
Yeah.
If you would like, I could move that.
Do the motion, the options as maybe another motion.
If we wanna, instead of that, maybe if we wanna change it, being that we can, if everyone's agreeable to partner with them, is that the town of Smoky Lake promote the Citizens on Patrol program on their social media and website?
Yeah.
Maybe?
And Terry said he'd move that.
Yep, that sounds good. Thank you. I'll move.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, so carried. All right, 7.3, Plan 872 NY Block 11 Lot 2, 42nd 4204-54th Street.
So with this one, everyone knows the land we're talking about, we're behind Centex. So we can't proceed with an RFP until the title is in our name. So we have transferred the funds to purchase the property, and then we just notify land titles to remove that it's a tax recovery. So because I had a little time before posting the RFP, I just wanted to bring it back. My recommendations, so I'm looking for a motion to support that, as well as if there's anything I'm missing here. So I thought we wanted to, I don't know that we want to be specific. We know there's at least one person interested in the property, but to say, you know, what are you proposing for the area? You know, require that drainage be addressed in that. We have some concerns about drainage on the around that Centex. Is it Centex? No, it's Skyways parking lot. There's a pooling of water there, and it's hard to address because we don't own any land on the other side of the road, so that the developer would keep that in mind with their development, require that the building be demolished or dealt with by the successful applicant. So if it's going to be habitated, that it should be properly connected to all utilities, require a timeline like we do in our other development. And obviously with a larger area, it might be a year 1, 2, 3, 4, but just have that plan in place and some sort of commitment to that. To hold them to at least to some point, and then also we would also include the option to reject all offers. I didn't know if you wanted to include any form of a reserve bid or just leave it with them and see what comes forward. And then the other option would be if you chose not to move forward, and maybe it's after the RP or maybe before, but is you know, if we didn't want to put it out, is that we could rezone it, subdivide and sell the lots individually, is another option. But we, I know the last meeting sounded like RFP, so we want to start with that, but if we don't find any, you know, good plan, that there's that as well. So just looking for some direction.
Marianne?
And so Dawn, thank you. It's really well prepared and outlined for us. I guess a couple questions come to mind. If we were, as this council would look at maybe considering to subdivide into 2, 3 parcels of land, but how much would that cost to do a guesstimate, right? And then I'm not sure on the total square or the amount of land, the acres. Is it possible to request an assessment summary report? So is it all zoned as commercial?
Yes, it's all highway commercial. I can pull up on Munisite right now and tell you the the square footage, if you like. And then subdividing, we'd have to use MPS for that. Against, I think that's something we could bring back. And maybe it's,
No.
I would like this RFP to go out, like, if it'd be nice to get a developer for the whole thing, like if it doesn't work out that way, then. But I then talk about the subdividing or changing what we're gonna do with that. But I would think I like the idea of getting, like, putting it up. To see the interest that we can get in it for development. I don't know what it rest of council, but
We put it out on our website as well as the purchasing network, Alberta Purchasing Action. So it'll go out to more than just the individual that has expressed interest, so.
And I also like the idea of a reserve bid, that's why I'm asking for the assessment report, just.
What's 138? The reserve bid on the auction was based on assessment value.
So then the.
And that's
square
what we
footage
paid.
area. Is
It's
it?
not loading.
Oh.
I'm trying. No, I'm getting there. There we go. I can see part of it, so, to see the square footage. That one, right? Right, probably. Parcel area, it's in square feet. We can do the math. The square footage is 170,755 square feet. Cause it's in town, it's not in acres. Google it though. 170,755.
If I'm not mistaken, the real estate sign is still up.
It's 0.39 acres. Oh, no, sorry, more, 170,755. Sorry?
If I'm not mistaken, the real estate sign for sale is still on the property.
I reached out to both realtors and made sure they're aware that they can no longer sell them, so. I didn't think there was, it's not on the website any longer. Yeah, that one was off the website when I,
But when you physically drive by the property, the sign is still there.
yeah. Because I did advise them right away, that it was no longer 4 acres, it's 3.91 acres.
Evelyn? You know what, I'm gonna address more to Councillor Moore, because I think you have a vision, I'm not sure if mine aligns with your vision. You want to get an so as is RFP out ASAP.
hoping for commercial.
To see what we can get over the winter time to do this, because I am interested in seeing that a demolition in the spring, probably at the exact same time that we do Willow Creek, although we're talking about a different. Or like, and to talk about, but I think that should, like, I'm interested in getting that taken care of,
Yeah, and
not
I
waiting
agree.
for a developer.
oh yeah, I agree. I'd like to see though, I guess what I'm saying, instead of Counselor Prosecutor, I can't do it. Mary Ann said,
Just call her deputy.
yeah, Mary Ann said, like, she was inquiring about like the subdividing of the property and selling off lots. I was stating that it would be nice to get its own highway commercial, and it would be nice to get a development that fit into that zoning. I'm hoping for commercial development, not housing development in that particular area.
Really?
Yeah. For commercial tax base, for sure. That would be. It's got commercial all around it. On every side, so I'm hoping a developer will come in, highway commercial, that'll fit it within that zoning.
Evelyn? Why I'm expressing a little bit of surprise when you say that is because we did have, there are options to turn into mixed commercial and residential. So that's why, and I got the impression that that's what you were interested in, but now you're saying not really, you're interested more in commercial. No? Well, it's on right now.
I am interested in all development. I'm mostly for that one specifically, I'm really hoping for fit within the zoning of the highway commercial. But if not, and there is other interests, I am pro-development. So, but I would like it to fit within the zoning that we currently have it based on, for sure. So I would like to see it go out like this as soon as possible and see what the interest is and see if we can draw up some interest in it and then take it from there after that, for sure. So that's kind of where I'm at I think, Ellen?
Because I'm comfortable in seeing an RFP go out now, just see what we can get over the winter. But then that means that I would like to reserve the right to talk about this again in the spring and maybe, again, kind of like what we did with the lots, we don't get any response to the RFP. So I wouldn't mind actually even saying something along the lines of RFP, but put a timeline on it, just simply as a way of forcing it to come back to us.
It will come back, because we can't sell land without council approving it, right?
But I don't want it to just, we already have examples of where I thought land was being sold and everything was taken care of, and it wasn't. So this is why I want to put
It
it.
can fall through.
Yeah.
The,
Which is
put a
what caveat on it, sorry, then they could easily fall through, right?
which is why in the background here, the option to reject all proposals as well is in there, which I also like. Because even if you have a minimum bid, but you're not confident with what the development is, or, you know, then we always have that option to reject any proposal. So I appreciated that that was put in there.
It should
So,
always be in there, yeah.
yeah,
RFPs especially, it's easier than a tender.
so
So this will be kept very open, and then we'll put it out and give a reasonable amount of time for responses, and then it would come back to council.
So, in open session, are we okay to speak about the reserve bid amount, or is there
Yeah,
a break even point, or?
well, we purchased it publicly, and right, the last
Yeah,
motion
yeah.
was that for 138,000, which is based on the assessment value. We had a different bid on the property, so if you wanted to just see what you get, see what people come up with, knowing that there's competition, it could be different, or you could say we won't go lower than our reserve bid. So we paid that amount and then we received money back for taxes, but we should have received that tax money anyways, right? So if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's up to you if you want to have the reserve bid or just see what comes in. Again, there is always that option to reject it all. So the disadvantage of putting a reserve bid in, I mean, it's easy to figure out how much we paid for it because it was a public motion. But the bad part is, do you have too many that come in at that amount rather than, you know, if you leave it open, there is potential that we could see a lot of different things coming in. So.
Madam Chair,
Harry?
when you say we have one bid, are you referring to the bid at the sale?
No, there was at the last
Okay, yeah,
meeting
thank you.
closed and it was rejected, yeah.
yeah, thank you.
Mel?
I'd like to make a motion that the town of Smoky Lake issue a request for proposal for the development of town-owned property located at Plan 872 NY Block 11 Lot 2, and bring back proposal to a future meeting for consideration.
All in favor?
Bye.
None opposed? So carried. 7.4 municipal tax relief policy.
This was a request from Councillor Coast Councillor Coast brought forward this, Edmonton has this policy in place. Carly found another one in Peace River. So if council would like us to create a policy based on what they're seeing here, we could bring that back. The one advantage that we did see with it was that it looks like the city of Edmonton there's certain reasons that are just not allowed. So the policy makes that clear where you wouldn't get, well, I forgot, or right? So it could reduce the number that come forward, because these ones are an automatic no, so our direction with this policy is no, we can't bring that to council. It's already.
Evelyn?
That's what I do like about it, because I think in the past it's kind of been loosey-goosey, like as in, we'll just bring it before council and see what they have to say, which I think that this arms and in with a way of saying, unless it meets one of these items, it's,
Yeah.
and so that's why I really liked it. Thank you for finding the one from Peace River. Peace River.
Marianne?
So I think what I'm hearing in the room is that we want to move forward with this, and thank you to Admin for the background. So at this time, I'd like to move that the town of Smoky Lake draft a policy regarding the tax penalty relief and cancellation requests and bring back to a future meeting for review in response to the previous motion 710-2024.
Evelyn?
Sorry, I just, did this address anything? Because
Yeah, sorry.
I actually really wanted to hear what Council Morton had to say about this, because this has been the bane of her existence for
I
7
liked
years.
it. It proved my point perfectly that there are some, well, I haven't come across a really good reason yet, but it says what clearly is not a good reason to do tax relief. So it kind of proved my point, so I was happy with it. So I'm very comfortable with going ahead with this. Yeah, I forgot is not a reason not to pay your taxes, it says, so. I was very happy to read that.
Councillor Grande.
Spending all the money.
All, okay,
Yeah.
I'll call the question then. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, so carried. All right. 7.5 Nature Trail Naming Contest. Marianne?
Can I just speak to this one to start with? I love the idea in theory, but I disagree. And just somewhat maybe at a previous Heritage Board meeting, there could be some, if we move forward, I'm gonna suggest a disclaimer that we might not use anything, but I think sounds fun. I think admin has a lot to do, and I would say to go with the name that Noreen kind of shared with us and go from there. So I would not be supporting the recommendation at this time.
You have to refresh my memory, what was the minute she came up with?
Well, there was two, one was
Sandstone
Sandstone
Meadows.
Meadows, and the flora and the fauna proves that there are meadows there. And then, for whatever reason, Mel had said she liked Lover's Lane Walking Trail.
It's called Lover's Lane. Everybody knows where it is then, if we say it's Lover's Lane. It's the party spot, Lover's Lane.
Yeah.
And now it'll be the walking spot. Has a whole new meaning now.
I like what goes on at Lover's Lane stays at Lover's Lane.
No.
Could I recommend that administration just, like, if we had a few different options and instead of just putting it out there, that people had like a little voting on a couple options? Maybe the Heritage Board would like to come up with a few names and then have a little drop your vote in the jar kind of naming.
I don't know.
Or if you want me to name it, I'll name it, like whatever you want. I get in trouble for that one.
Mel.
I guess my question is, if you don't want to support the motion,
What's your
what's your option? Give me an option. Not to put you on the spot or anything, right?
Okay, so I'll make a motion and you can vote against it. Or if you so choose, or for it. So I move that the town of Smoky Lake name the nature trail located at town-owned lands legally recognized as Northwest 285917 West 4th and Northeast 285917 West 4th in Smoky Lake County behind the Smoky Lake Golf Course as Sandstone Meadows. Walking trail, if you so choose.
Any other comments? Not, I guess. It's a big decision. Right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, no.
Thank you, Ben.
Sorry. So if we were to put it out on for a contest, then we would just bring the names back and then have a list and like, how would we decide, I guess?
Well, it depends on how we wanted to run it, like you could do nominate names for the, and then we'd vote on them at the end, and then the public would have feedback on what the, here's the top, or here's the names that were listed. And then let everyone, let the public vote on it, we could do something like that, or we could just bring all the names back to council, but then,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just we could do that. Then you're making the decision, but do you wanna hear more from the public on, we got 10 names. So then you guys discuss it, or we do 10 names and we repost them and say, vote for your favorite, and we bring you back and say, here's the top 3 favorite, and get feedback maybe from the Heritage Board and Council, and
Evelyn?
Can we just cut to the chase and actually come up with 3 options, and we'll give them an option if they wanna add their own, but otherwise, here are the 3 cause I'm fine, I'm actually fine with this, it's just that she kind of swayed me a little bit more with the Lover's Lane. But otherwise, I would like to see that one, let's come up with a third, like somebody will have a third one, let's just kind of cut to the chase.
the Heritage Board for a third name.
I'm first.
Okay, no.
And that's what I was suggesting, like so those 2 names, and then if we give it back to the Heritage Board to come up with another name and then put it out. And I just to put the empowerment back onto the Heritage Board, they created the trail. And you know what, if Maureen doesn't like my Lover's Lane, then it's okay.
I don't
And if the public doesn't like it, then, but I do like that name as well. So maybe just, if we go back to the Heritage Board, get them to give 3 options and then do the contest like that.
Marianne?
Less than 15, that's gonna work.
I come full circle. My intention was not to hurt anyone's feelings in case they weren't picked. And I just, well, then might as well just do the contest. So,
No.
I'll make a motion then that the town of Smoky Lake reach out to the Heritage Board to come up with 3 naming options to be put out to the public to get responses. Sure, name.
Okay, that sounds
It's a
good.
lot of words.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. 7.7, sales agreement update, lot 14, sales agreement update, lot 1, block B, sign 23-7 NY, Josh Drama.
This is just a follow-up to the request that we provide more information here on the disposal of property. Lot 1, block B, plan 237 NY. So basically, this is a simple one. It's too expensive to service this lot, so the land sale did not proceed.
Evelyn?
Where did this decision come from that it was too expensive to do? Like, is that something that could, like, I mean, we made a motion to sell it. So shouldn't it come back to us to say, no, actually, we can't sell it because of this?
It's on
The purchaser
The purchaser,
decided not to proceed.
so he said that it was too expensive for him
Yeah,
to
he
service?
would be the one responsible to pay the servicing fee.
Do you have more information? No, sorry, John.
Oh,
Cause that was the one that we thought the services were brought right to the lot, but it's one of those that it's not, correct? So the costs were gonna be much more higher.
It's not pre-service.
It's not pre-service, whereas we thought it was when we initially. when he put
Okay,
in-
that explains what I'm at, okay.
Well, excavating asphalt road. Installing the,
Like 855?
probably most likely.
Because if it's 855, then we get into profit, like, okay. But we can't do it from,
The lines on the other side of the.
so does that mean that right now we are not in a position to actually do anything with that housing wise?
Potentially, unless we decide to get creative and look into HAF funding and say it's for affordable housing and we could do something, there's, again, but we'd have to look into that further, but the cost, did you get an estimate on the costs?
The sanitary line is on the far east side of 855, so you close down the entire highway.
No?
If lot 37 is $30,000 to service, this one will be more. As a broad number, very broad,
Yeah.
more than that.
Sorry, John, I can't remember, did you actually get, we got an estimate, didn't we?
I haven't got an actual.
Okay.
quote for that.
Marianne?
So, and maybe the questions to Pam, thank you for sharing this with us. So, when did you, what was the date on that? that that was given notice that they wouldn't be developing it or purchasing it?
I don't know.
It was prior to Pam.
I just contacted Josh when this motion came about to just ask the background of why they didn't go, but yeah, I don't.
I guess in contrast to that, if you can't provide me the date, we made the motion May 13th, so I am disappointed that it's now December and that we're learning about this. And so moving forward, I'm wondering if council wants to actively look at posting a for sale sign on the lot, or what the plan is for that parcel of land.
No,
If we're not using the FAH grant, I can't foresee this being a sellable lot with the cost of servicing it. Unless we're taking that cost on to service that lot and then sell it, and how much then would you sell it for? So it is a unserviced corner of the highway parcel of land. Park.
yeah. But
There's your
anyway,
park.
There you go. I actually was gonna make that joke, but I didn't. I thought it was too soon. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, maybe not the best look, well, you know, fence. Dog park.
Enough. Not doing it again. So,
no,
can I say something? So I feel like, council, like when we make these motions to approve, a sale of land, it comes to us to sell. I think what's happening is council would like to know if it doesn't go ahead.
Yes,
So it doesn't mean just because we made the motion that that's gonna happen. It's just that we have approved it. If the developer doesn't go ahead, I think council would like to be notified that that isn't going to happen in the future. So going forward, you know, an update if something falls through.
yes, I agree, and I think we can include that in Pam's updates moving forward. It is tracked within that action list too, that one's not completed, the sale. So it would get caught, it's just, I can't be sure, I know it took a while to get so it wasn't in May that we found out he wasn't buying. He had a year to develop, right, so it was months later, it wasn't, this hasn't been sitting there for 6 months, right, so I just don't know the actual date. But yes, we'll do better at communicating that, you know, well, you'll see in the action list that the sales are completed, right? When we bring back, when do we bring this back? Quarterly? The old action list, or every 6 months, we were bringing back the, so you'd see them in there, but we'll also make a point of, you know, this sale's been completed, this sale, you know, especially when they don't go through.
Evelyn?
I learned from Councillor Morton. So that. I heard it from somebody else on council who was informed.
Probably not from here. In the public, probably. I actually thought we all knew, so. You know how it is, everything blends together. I wasn't sure. I just knew it wasn't happening.
And then our transition of staff didn't help, right, so.
All right, whose turn is it?
In that you didn't know, not that you did anything wrong, to be clear.
I'll make the motion that Town of Smoky Lake Council accept the update regarding the sale agreement for Lot 1, Block B, Plan 23-7 and Y.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, so carried. 7.7 sales agreement update, lot 14, block 8, plan 182-1HW, Northern Timber Structures.
So again, this was one that was asked for an update on, so. Dan, I've been trying to nail him down for a meeting since I started and have not had much luck, but now he is prepared, wants to prepare a development plan for another lot. 11, no way, whatever. So he's waiting to do it. He says he wants to do both at the same time because he's working with his investors. So he's supposed to prepare a development plan and we're supposed to meet in the new year. So hopefully at that time he makes a decision on this lot. and we're able to move forward.
No? Is there any more discussion? If not, I'll just make motions, Smoky Lake, that's town of Smoky Lake. Accept the update for block 14, block 8 plan 1821 HW to Northern Timber Structures.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, so carried.
I did have one question, I know it's after the fact. So there is, what is the time frame? Like,
They have not signed a sale.
oh, there's no offer to purchase or anything, so there is no time.
There was the approved offer to purchase, but there's no signed agreement yet, so we don't have technically a
Time frame.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I know we were talking that maybe we would give him a time frame because it's, yeah, like I said, kind of hard to nail down.
If he doesn't come forward with the proposed other development, then we'll let him know that you have this many days and otherwise we're bringing it back to council and rescinding on. For the approval, so we could do that.
Marianne?
So I like what you said, that maybe there's an opportunity to sell it, if that's the will of council, but if, correct me if I'm wrong, was it not a tax recovery at one time? So the market value on that is not the same as what we were selling lots for.
Correct. Yeah, it was a higher.
Yeah, it
Wasn't the-
was 16,500.
So in my mind, you know, it could be hindsight's 2020. It was maybe a missed opportunity. We had Pumpkin Fair in October. Many people visited the town. Could have, there would have, should have, whatever. So I would like to say that maybe we should actively put, because there's no signed agreement, that we should put a for sale sign on it. I've received numerous calls on it.
But please keep in mind that this gentleman is wanting to develop far more land. So I don't know that we want to pull this out, the rug out from under him without waiting for him to bring forward a very potential significant
Yeah,
development.
and Raman's notes did say he was dealing with a death in the family, so that could be with dealing with some of the delays, but that's, yeah, I didn't put that in
I
here.
didn't know.
Yeah,
But
but so that's just the background.
He wants to develop this and another area. And he's working with his investors, so he's planning on bringing that back, because he doesn't want to do one without the other. He wants to sign it as one agreement, is what I'm understanding.
Yeah.
So it's not that he's, you know, it's just that he has other bigger plans. And I think we need, my recommendation is hear him out first. If we turn around and say, no, we're just gonna sell this land to someone else, then he goes to another municipality to develop.
No?
Yeah, and I think what we, if I'm reading the room right, I think what we're saying is maybe in the future on these motions to approve an agreement that we should have a deadline. That's all, like.
Yeah.
In the future, so that we know it has to be done by this time. Otherwise, you know, we're not selling them.
Yeah.
They could back out. And we're just waiting, so.
Marianne?
Madam Chair,
Yeah, Terry?
if we put a for sale sign on it, it doesn't mean we're pulling the rug out from under him. And we're not selling it to anybody else. We're just putting it out for sale because, like, in my mind, if nobody has acted or come with a counter offer or anything after 3 months, I don't believe the interest is still there. And I would definitely support putting a for sale sign up and get this guy, whether or not he's serious or not. Like, you know, it's been over 6 months, right?
Marianne? And thank you, Terry. I didn't know if I, above anyone, would probably know when there's a death, it changes everything. So thank you. I did not know that. And you're right, Terry, the motion, one of the motions was April 8th, the other motion was May 13th. So I don't mind waiting, as the last line says, the developer is going to bring something prepared to us in January 2025. We've waited this long. What's one more month? And then just maybe decide to sell it or advertise. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that looking back, I'm glad we asked for the update, and staffing is out of your control. So thank you for providing us with this information, and we now know how to move forward. So
We do have the motion, right? So we would have to reconsider the motion if you're changing it, which is fine. I'm just saying, there is an active motion. Approved.
Okay, last comment, Evelyn, just because we've already called the question on that.
Okay, then just do it.
Okay. 8.1, Alberta President Summit and Spring 2025 Municipal Leaders Conference, March 5th to 7th. Don?
This could wait till the next meeting if you want to wait for the agendas. That was, and we did book some rooms for council. I can tell you that the Municipal Governance Committee, we did talk about, we had the guest speaker, the keynote speaker, present to us and talked about the agenda. I can tell you on the summit, the unofficial agenda is around conflict resolution, harassment in council and the workplace, dealing with divisive times and challenging dynamics. It looks like a really good agenda. So that's just the President Summit. And then, of course, there's a Municipal Leaders Caucus. So that's my only comment.
Mary Ann?
So, and thank you, Dawn, and I always appreciate knowing what the agenda is, and it's not currently available, but thank you for sharing that. So I'd like to move at this time to defer to the January 27th, 2025 regular council meeting for a decision.
Okay, Evelyn, did you have more to add? No. All in favor?
And I can, sorry, I also had the meeting for the minister that has to be responded to before that time. So that's the only part about deferring is if, although, yeah, we could still, but I would mention at the beginning that I was adding to the agenda to this item, meeting with the minister.
So that was a handout.
Yeah, so that was for this item. So if we're going to do this, we do need to respond within that timeline as well. The last time we chose not to. What's the date right there? The date of the email. The last meeting, we had a motion to talk about the registry's funding model and time reduction for approvals, fire recruitment and retention incentives, and infrastructure funding for small towns with a lack of tax base. So those were the three items we had on our list to request a meeting with the minister. Not the last time, the one before that. No, we have not got a meeting since I've been on council.
Evelyn?
Sorry, when was this email received? Because it's been cut off.
Oh, so I was trying to cut the thousands of, the first page was literally all the municipalities. I received it on, here, let me double check. It was last week after the agenda went up. The 12th.
Thanks. I'm going to speak to this. So last time we were not successful in an appointment with
The
Mr.
last time we didn't request one. It was not to request one. It was the time before we were not.
So I would request some time of this council to come up with some initiatives that I want to speak to Honorable Mr. McIver about. So is it possible we can get back to you by week's end via email or?
Yeah.
Or maybe we have.
If council's okay with that, it just means we won't have a motion. It'll just be me submitting based on the emails. We have till January 10th.
What is that? Jen?
No, I'm just saying, you can send me an email and I can respond using direction as the email, but there won't be a motion. And the comment it's been brought up that that's not the proper process, right? Have a motion. So if you're okay with me doing it without a motion, just moving forward on my own, but if it's a motion, we can approve by email and then ratify it at the next meeting.
Well, I just wanted some time to research it.
Can we make it in this, because I didn't quite finish calling the questions, we could put it in this motion. That we send emails with our requests. No?
Well, I would like to back up because there's no sense deferring. We're gonna go to it and then request a meeting. Right, like
Yeah, we have to be there.
we have to be there, be going to it, right, if we're going to request a meeting.
Evan?
So I recall last year, we went ahead and we booked to go ahead contingent on whether we got a meeting with him. We didn't get a meeting with him, which is why we then canceled and changed all of our plans to attend in person and instead changed it to Zoom. That's what happened last year.
Yeah, sorry, the one we didn't request a meeting was at Alberta Municipalities. We chose not to. So yes, to be, yeah. One of these is only in person. I think the President Summit is only in person and the other one is both, I believe. Yeah. 2 years ago, we did, I believe you did it on your own, Councillor Coates, and then Amy, you attended. Mary Church, I call one Councillor Coates and the other by their first name. You attended and I attended. Yeah, that was 2 years ago though, because they only do the President Summit every other year. I really enjoyed the President Summit that year. I don't know. Yeah, I like the extra content in it compared to just the MLC.
So if I can, Mary Ann, would you, Deputy Mayor Ruski, would you, I mean, I'm gonna say no to, I'm leaning towards saying no, but if you would like, you're saying that you would like some time to research it and consider meeting with, because you might actually have some sway in changing my mind, but right now I'm.
Sorry, I should have forwarded the email then. Yeah, hindsight, I'm sorry.
I'm just one person. If you have something that you want to say to Minister, go ahead, book it.
No, I don't, that's why I'm saying, that's why I'm saying.
I have nothing that comes right to mind, but Mel?
I have always the same thing and it's the same as before. So those same three things are still the same problems that we have. But again, I'm leaning towards no, so. That's why I'm saying, like, there's no sense deferring something and then doing one, like, we're not gonna do that. So let's decide if we think that it's a good idea, if you wanna wait for. If you wanna wait and see the agenda to see if it's worthwhile. But really, if you send the request before that to have a meeting with the minister and you get it, then that agenda is not gonna matter, cause you're gonna go. So make a decision.
Mary Ann?
So based on what Dawn has presented to us, the rooms are booked. We can still defer the decision to attend, but we can still make a motion to submit something to minister. And then if the planets align and everything comes through, we attend. No harm, no foul.
But, so we're not guaranteed a spot with the minister, is that the case?
But I think Mary Ann misunderstood what I meant. I meant I'm not in favor of the going to spring caucus, like to the spring summit.
Okay, I see. So if we're not going at all, then we don't even apply, yeah. So. Oh, I guess I'm gonna have to decide if we're going. If that's an option put
Yeah.
on the table. Mel?
Let's just make a motion to email administration and all council. If we have some topics that we would like to talk to the minister about. And then you deferred it to the next meeting and we can we'll know by then, right? If we get a meeting.
We didn't know till very late. Like, right, but I don't think there was a meeting prior to. Because then there was just direction to cancel all the hotels by email. So it didn't go to a meeting. Last year's motion was, I think that's in here, right? Approve up to 4 councillors to attend. And then it was after that we didn't get the meeting and then, because there was discussion about the meeting. And then it was a couple councillors decided to attend virtually and said to cancel.
Evan?
So there is a motion on the table already to defer it to January, right? So I'm gonna say, let's call a question on that one, move it
We
on.
already did.
Was that, we did
Yeah, we
already?
did.
Did we already? Okay, so if that motion's already passed to January, then passed, so now the next motion has to do with January 10th deadline.
Okay, I just wanna call the questions. I don't think I actually said all in favor. I said all in favor, but nobody
Okay, then
voted.
I, okay.
Yeah, I said it, but, so all in favor,
To defer it to
to
January.
defer it. So, okay, just any opposed? Okay, Terry,
No.
I can't hear you.
I heard him say I agree with her.
Thank you.
Sorry, Terry, we heard,
I'm in.
still can't hear you.
Motion.
We didn't catch any of that.
All is good. Thank you.
All in favor?
What did you?
I hear all in
Okay,
favor.
Terry,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, and then are we gonna make a motion regarding the email? About meeting with the minister, or are we completely,
I'll make a motion,
Hear me now?
yeah,
Ready to talk?
you're on mute. So. Okay,
Pardon me, go ahead.
you were on mute. Did you have anything to say?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'll make a motion, for council to, any councillors that have, want to send administration and the rest of council topics to speak to Minister MacGyver about, to have it in before January 10th.
And then for administration to use their discretion at sending the topics to the minister, because we won't have a chance to do a motion, right?
Yeah.
So you're okay with me just taking that information? I'll get consensus,
Yeah.
basically, okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, so carried.
5 minute recess, please.
Okay. We'll call 5 minutes. All right, we'll call the meeting back to order at 2:38. 8.2, municipally controlled corporation. This is a recommendation made at the MCC meeting to be passed by the town. Mel?
I'll make the motion and then we can have a little discussion. The town of Smoky Lake, make a motion, the town of Smoky Lake approve the request for extension. I'm not gonna make this motion, somebody else needs to make this motion. I don't think I should. It doesn't matter. Anyways, extension of the time on loan payment submitted by the board of directors of the MCC for Smoky Lake Development Court in accordance with the town of Smoky Lake bylaw number 002-2022 of the loan agreement to extend the maturity date as defined in the loan agreement scheduled from December 31st, 2024 to March 31st of 2025.
Any discussion or Mel?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of go over it, why it's here. It's gonna take a little bit of time after the last motion that was made with the MCC. And so, it's gonna take a little time to come back to the shareholders and host all these meetings. So instead of doing the repayment, we're hoping for an extension to get everything finalized so that the entirety of the money can be just sent back.
Evan?
So the MCC has known for 2 years to have $100,000 check cut for us before the end of this year.
Yep.
That's been from the get-go.
Yeah.
In fact, I said 2 years, 3 years. So why do you not have a bank account? Do you not have checks? So you can cut $100,000 to the town, $100,000 to the county. You take care of what's already been on the books for 3 years. And then you can take you got the rest of the money to sit there and then pay back to us next year.
John?
So one of the challenges is that, initially that was part of the conversation, but one of the things that was said by legal was that there's personal liability for the individuals that are on MCC and SLTC, and the requirement was that those funds be invested and then paid back, right? They were never transferred to SLTC. So those board members that are on both need to act fiscally responsible for SLTC. So it can open up some personal liability for the members that are on both. The recommendation was don't transfer any funds. We're just giving ourselves back the $590,000 that we gave MCC. They're just giving it back. It's better to defer that payment and then just have all the funds come back once everything's said and done.
They're open to personal liability right
Yeah.
now because they didn't set up the SLTC?
No, actually, that reduced the liability. And if we go much more into detail, we should go into close for legal, but because funds weren't transferred, it actually makes this whole process a lot easier and less liability involved. But there is personal liability for the members on SLTC. They have to make the decisions in the best interest of SLTC, not MCC, not the town, not the county. So this protects our members as well. So the motion came from them. The county did support this as long as all funds were paid back by March 31st, the entirety. I did see that was their final motion, but.
Marianne?
I have two questions. The extension looks like it could be over 90 days. Why would the extension not be just till, say, January 31st if it was?
Can I
go through?
Can I suggest that we go into camera? In a closed session, and then it'll be easier to explain it. It's okay, the motion on the table can stay. Discussion needs to be closed.
Madeline,
I'll make the motion that we go into closed session.
all in favor?
Oh, well,
Right, section.
Legal is 27.
Where's my cheat sheet? No one.
We're getting there.
Section 27.
Okay,
Call question.
all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed or carried. I can get a motion to come out of closed session. Marianne,
I'd like to move that we come out of the executive session.
all in,
311, please.
all in favor? Any opposed? Carried. None opposed, carried. All right, so the motion on the table is on the table, so I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. All right. Any opposed? And carried. All right, we'll move to 8.3, 2025 municipal law seminars.
The last 2 years, you've just accepted as information, but we didn't want to not bring this forward, so.
Yeah, your turn, Marianne.
I'd like to move that the town of Smoky Lake file for information, the 2025 Reynolds Richards and Farmer LPP 40th Annual Central Municipal Law Seminar hosted on February 7th, 2025, and the 2025 Brownlee Barristers and Solicitors Emerging Trends in Municipal Law Seminar hosted on February 13th, 2025.
Right. There's no discussion. All in favor? Opposed? None opposed, vote carried. 8.4, physicians and healthcare professionals committee appointment. Evelyn,
I'll make the motion that Town of Smoky Lake accept Mayor Chernichen's resignation from the Physician and Healthcare Professionals Committee and appoint Deputy Mayor Prosky Zaruski as the voting member on the committee and update the 2024-2025 council appointments to be included as part of the minutes.
discussion, all in favor? None opposed or carried. Or I should say any opposed. Yes. Not opposed or carried. And 8.5 organizational chart. Marianne, did you?
I'm going to probably, before we move on, does this committee, doesn't it have two primaries?
No.
What
Well,
were
it
you?
has two primaries, but there's really
Oh,
only
one.
one voting member.
I was gonna.
Yeah.
It's the mayor or reeve of each municipality or designate.
I thought you were paid to attend for the last 3 years.
I wasn't paid to attend, was I? I couldn't vote. I found it a little silly that two members would go and you could only one,
There was 4 votes, yeah.
yeah, only 4 people could vote at the entire thing.
The committee has also made a motion for a subcommittee to come up with some options around a bylaw, so this could change in the future, but at this point, that's what it says.
But we've always had you as a primary. And then you were the alternate. Wasn't that the way that it was?
Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah. You're right.
Sorry, I probably should have had the recommended motion with you there instead of.
Where is,
No, sorry.
No,
I
that
changed
changed
at this
since when-
organizational meeting. I had asked to be,
Okay, good.
I had asked not to be on it.
Okay,
But Evelyn's saying last year I was. You're absolutely right, Evelyn, I was. Yeah.
I've always understood this committee to have two.
Yeah.
And it was you, and you were originally assigned to it because you were the deputy mayor the first year,
Yes.
then the second year. You stayed on it for the third year, but technically you shouldn't have, because it should have been Mary Ann.
No, it's mayors and reeves, and then we had 2 representatives, but
Instead of you, it was Marianne.
yeah, it didn't make any sense to have 2 primaries because you can only have 1 vote.
So now who's the alternate?
We need 1.
well, you're listed as the alternate still on the list, right?
Oh, then I'm the alternate.
I think you were the alternate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, at the last organizational meeting, you moved to alternate and Mary Ann moved to primary.
Switched, yeah.
So because we only have 1 voting member, my recommendation was just to go with the 1 primary, unless you want to pay a second member to sit in on the meetings, then, I mean, feel free to appoint a second person, by all means.
Marianne?
For clarification, and I don't see it here today, but did it not previously have the 3 asterisks that would indicate that it was paid?
I don't think it was paid.
No, it
No,
was.
It wasn't.
No, it was.
Was it?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was, yeah, it was.
Yeah, it
This is
was.
why- This is why suddenly I don't see the asterisks, but we did have the asterisks.
yeah. Sorry.
And it's in payroll that you got paid to
Yeah.
attend.
And that's absolutely correct. So,
Or
Because I
if the name
never-
Change, we might have lost. it.
because I never understood why 1 voting person.
Did we not change it though with the organizational that there's only 1 as primary?
No, we still had, you two,
Yeah.
and then
Like
not
special
more
Mary Ann.
Mel as the alternate at that meeting, and then. So if you wanted to appoint a second person, just acknowledging they're non-voting at this point, then you can definitely appoint a second person.
You guys think? Mary Ann?
It's between Terry and Evelyn, I guess. Well, unless you're already on the committee, right?
Well, she's the alternate. So are you gonna step up to being the second primary again?
No, I guess my question is, do you want to have two paid primaries and an alternate? Sorry, that's what I was asking. No, I'd like to stay on as the alternate, not step up.
Well, then I guess the default is me unless Terry wants to.
If we want to do that, that's my question. Do we
I don't know
want?
if it's necessary to have 2 paid primaries.
Well, I brought this kind of issue up before and I was told that I couldn't do it. So right now, this is the way that it stands. So if we want to change it, I'm gonna say yes to it. Because that's the way that we have it set up right now.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure why it was set up that way, because there's 1 voting member, but it's a second voice, right? At the meeting, we had both Jared and Dominique were at the meeting,
Mhm.
so you have that second voice, you just don't have to vote. Just like we have other members, so there's value in having that, if they're gonna have right? So although anyone can attend, but again, if we're feeling like we should, then should we not be paying that second member? It's up to council.
So, and then as an alternate, I was allowed to speak and have my opinion shared, but tell me the history of, like, did it have the asterisks and it just fell off, or what's happening? Because it doesn't have asterisks now.
So there's, well, I'm assuming if Mel was getting paid, I'm hoping it had asterisks previously, but let's just look.
Change it by motion, or?
No, I think what probably happened was when we changed the name, we accidentally lost the asterisks, but they were still getting paid.
Remember, we didn't have it on the org meeting?
Yeah, right,
that's
yeah.
right.
It actually did not have the asterisk beside it in 22-23 either.
I didn't think so. I don't remember you ever submitting. Cause I looked over it.
That's the last one. I have.
Respectfully, I don't think you would have shown up unless you got paid. But you didn't come often.
Cause it was
So
always
the
done
asterisks, I just want to clarify, the asterisks are only when you pay the alternate. If it has two primaries, both primaries get paid, no?
Actually, you're right.
This does clearly say the asterisks are for the. They're only for the alternate, so if there's primaries, then they both get paid.
Yeah.
So an asterisk is by the alternate. So I did get paid, I did not go all the time.
What was,
Yeah, sometimes it didn't work always, so
okay,
if you
well,
wanna keep it the way it is, then I would say I'll make a motion for. Is that what you guys wanna do? I'll make a motion to appoint Evelyn Copes as the other primary. Marianne being the voting member.
It's not the option, that's just a motion you're making.
That's just a motion I'm making.
Sorry, that's what I couldn't.
Made it with Marianne.
all
I
right,
did it in my head.
all in favor? Any opposed? No, so carried. All right, our organizational chart.
So,
Marianne?
okay, so thank you, Dawn, for completing this.
I'm gonna struggle with this, and I think. So I don't know, maybe let's defer it to January's meeting. So a couple things, if we go to page 105. So it was prepared by yourself, Dawn, right? Okay. So this chart is, I don't think it's complete. Couple things I don't see, like, how would I know it's the town of Smoky Lakes?
Well, this is just an internal document, that's all. We currently don't have it on our website, and it's updated by myself under CAO bylaw 002-2023 gives me that authority to update it. I always do keep you guys up to date when we're doing things like changing turmeric part-time and the municipal clerk. So then I updated it for you for today, but it's just an internal document. Some municipalities do have it on their website. We could definitely put it on the website. It's good for the municipality to see when we do make changes. So I think having a more formal document, I can definitely do that. I have no issues with that, so. And I do always try to keep council up to date. Well, I do keep council up to date when we do make changes.
So I would like to defer it to January 27th and come back with some revisions. Because even if it's an internal document, I think a lot of municipalities do have it on their website. I didn't know it was identified in the CAO bylaw, and we might want to revisit that, but we're not even including council on the chart, so I think another thing maybe with the graphics, when you look at the middle of the chart and the corporate services director, assistant CAO, they should maybe have some lines that those three rectangles are reporting to that person as well. Just, I'd like to see it come back.
I don't remember, we discussed this before, or the position is assistant CAO, so I don't know why corporate services director. was added to this. I caught the same thing that you did, that there's these three bubbles without lines. No town council, there's no date on it that to indicate as of when, because there's always edits, so
So
you
this-
always date it. and
This
change
is
it.
created for a workshop, and then I just try to keep it up to date so that, like, when there's changes, so that, you know, the titles and whatnot, again, also falls under, it's not her official title, I keep it there as corporate because that's what her job is actually corporate services. And then her other title, but she goes by assistant CEO, because that's the more senior title, I guess, but she oversees the municipal clerk, the taxes, the utilities, the finances, so that's all within corporate services. But her title is assistant CAO. Again, this is just a admin document to date. So if you want it updated to be a corporate org chart, we can do that. I don't know, I can try for the 27th. I can probably get my communications working on that. Again, we are in transition of some staffing. But yeah, I can definitely do that.
Marianne? Is there and thank you, Dawn, is there a requirement that council approve an org chart, or is that just the salary grid?
Between the MGA and the CAO bylaw, it falls under the CAO. But again, I do update council when we do make changes. It has to be within budget. The bylaw gives me the authority to change titles and stuff, but when we change the title to lead hand and public works manager, out of respect, I still bring that to council. So I don't think I've never done anything in here that hasn't been discussed with council first. Again, this is an internal title, the corporate services. If somebody says who oversees your corporate services, it's Crystal, because it is Crystal. That is her main role is that, and assistant CAO to assist with the overall running of the municipality. And when in my absence, she automatically becomes the CAO. And if I was ever to leave, she'd be your appointed interim CAO typically. So I've always been very transparent with you and not, you know, but if you want to see a corporate overarching, yeah. My job is to stay within the budget and run the municipality. So if there's changes in priorities, then sometimes there's some shifting within that, and that's, yeah.
Marianne,
And my goal in,
could we have a motion?
okay,
Put on
so my goal is, it was to review the document, and then I did share it with Mel that it's a useful tool. We're going into budget time, so we have the equivalency of the full-time positions, and I thought maybe it would be useful to have seasonal or contracted services included in an org chart. I noticed some municipalities, one previously to you, Dawn, Tabor, they have an excellent chart. It's part of their website, and I thought it's not about the names or the amount of people or the positions, it's just highlighting our organization. And that was the goal I thought with the intention I wanted to bring forward.
Perfect. Yeah, we can definitely bring that back. And then the advantage of council adopting that too is you're always aware of, you know, again, I think I've always been very transparent with anything there. But the other side of that is it doesn't hurt to have to go to council so that that's what's going on the website and we're all on the same page, right? It's not about me unilaterally doing whatever I want. That's not the point. It's sometimes we need to make changes, we need to shift, like, we have a retirement and there's some shifting, but I've always kept you up to date on that, but having it formally adopted, there's nothing wrong with that. So definitely I'll bring it back.
Thank you.
Do you want to make a motion for a corporate organizational chart to be brought back to the next council meeting?
Yeah, and you know what, in all fairness, with everything and the dates and again, I'm not gonna restrict it to the next council meeting. I'm gonna say a future council meeting to include any contracted or seasonal employees as well. And
We'll do it upright.
to be branded with our, okay.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, this has only ever been used internally, but I fully agree with having it on the website. I think that transparency is very important too. So
And I wasn't aware that it was in the CAO bylaw, so thank you again for sharing that and bringing that information to us. Thank you, that's my motion.
Okay, all in favor? Opposed? None, we carried. Schedule next budget meeting.
So, sorry, let me just turn it down.
Yeah.
Crystal is on holidays for the next council meeting. Although if there's. So I don't know if you want to have a budget meeting prior to her going on holidays. What I'm hearing is we're okay with a later adoption of the budget. So if you wanted to wait till February, you could. But if you want to do it, I'd prefer to have Crystal there as my finance corporate services person. But I know when we tried to set an alternate date for a council meeting, we were struggling a little, but this would be a shorter meeting, more around all the, like, we're bringing back capital with the we're bringing back capital and then we're bringing back operating, but none of the other stuff. So there's potential we could do a 9 AM or something, or a 4 PM, or actually not, depends on the date. But anyways, just bring it. Do you want to have a council meeting prior to the next, budget meeting prior to the next council meeting? Or the other option is do it the day of the next council meeting and then you're stuck with me. And I know a lot of the ins and outs, but there's some of those details that, again, Crystal's been here a long time and her job is finance specifically. So when I have questions, she's always my go-to, of course. So I recommend not when she's not here, honestly.
When's our next after?
27th, I believe.
We can wait till February. I can.
Yeah. We could do it as a February meeting. Mel, does that work? 24th?
Yeah, it does.
Or do you want to do one on another day between the two council meetings? Oh, I'm also gone, but I'm gone the 17th. To the 21st.
So may I ask, is that the one that you think might be a bit longer, that's a line by line, or is that, what were you thinking, Dawn?
Again, if you send us the questions in advance, so we could summarize some answers to that, which might speed things up. But you're right, if we are going line by line over 3 years, then, I mean, I like I said, I wouldn't do that as a meeting, honestly, I do that as a workshop if you do, but it's up to you guys.
I prefer a standalone in February, just one meeting that day, and if it's a day off for Amy, or something convenient to everybody, for admin, Carly, everyone.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Amy, but are you off on the 13th?
Yeah, I am.
That's an option, that would be an evening, I'm assuming, since Mel's like a 3:30.
I'm okay with that if you guys are. The February 13th, right?
February 13th. It's not Valentine's Day.
I know, it's on my Valentine.
Yeah, I know.
I'm available if that works for the rest of council.
And what day are we talking?
Thursday, February the 13th at 3:30.
Sorry, 2:30, is that what you said?
3:30.
Okay, like, I was thinking 3:30, but I thought I heard 2:30, so.
This will be budget meeting, right? I can. I was gonna steal your motion from you.
Is it mine?
Yeah.
Thursday, February 13th. I'd like to make the motion that Town of Smoky Lake schedule a regular council meeting for the purpose of the 2025 capital and operating budget on Thursday, February 13th, 2025.
At 3:30 PM.
So, thank you. Friendly amendment at 3:30 PM.
All in favor?
And I also say in town chambers with the nearest. Smoky Lake can have a few pints. That's the best way to do budgeting.
All right, 8.7, I'm gonna hand the chair over to Mary Ann. And I'm gonna declare a Punic. Punic, I didn't even say it. Pecuniary interest.
Thank you. So. 8.7, Curling Club building repairs. And I can go ahead, Dawn.
Okay, so the budget for last year or this year is $50,000 to be offset by grants. The Curling Club did not get that grant, although that being said, I did confirm that they are interested in reapplying, so we could carry forward that 50,000 and try again this year. Another option, I didn't know that at the time I wrote this, I had sent out the email. The reason we wanted the space repaired in the basement was to potentially host the youth council in there. So one other thought I had is the 50,000 won't do everything to renovate that basement area, but maybe we could address some of the key issues. And again, it is our infrastructure, but it's a weird lease agreement because it says they're responsible for everything, even the major stuff, which isn't typical. But that being said, it's not a typical lease. They do everything in that building. So my thought with that is, what if we approach them and said, we want to go in, clean up the areas of concern. But with that, we want the agreement that we'll be able to use the space and not rent it from the curling rink, because right now we would have to rent it because it's their space. But that if we invested these funds, that they would then allow us to use it. And that would be the kind of the negotiating with them to see if they don't be open to that. The other option is carry forward the 50,000 and get our grant writer to, now that we have the approval, to reapply for the CPAP grant.
Go ahead, Mark.
I would like to reapply.
So, in speaking to that, so our grant writer applied for this seat and was not successful.
Correct. It sounded like it was going to be, it was a weird one. He applied and then we didn't hear back on that one. We heard back on other ones and then it sounded like it was going to get approved, but in the end it wasn't. So, they are expanding that, the grant was well written is the feedback we heard, as well as some of the other ones. I have heard positives on the actual grant writing. As you know, I've had some concerns, but lately have been very responsive and really good applications coming in. And they're expanding the department by 2 in January. So we'll be actually working with 2 other grant writers instead coming the new year, because we were debating this contract. But we've just sent out the NRED grant, we just sent out another grant, so, and then he'd resubmit this one, he'd make some tweaks to it, and then he wouldn't just use the same application, he'd tweak it, and then with a new quote, and then submit a new one.
Okay, and so do we know what was applied for or the amount?
Not off the top of my head, it wasn't our grant, right, it was, because user groups can apply for grants under ours, so they worked with him on this grant.
Okay, so is there any data that supports its use in the basement? So I know for the FCSS, for the youth council and everything, but do we have any data going forward to say, this is not just a want, this is a need, that our priority is to develop the basement and fix the areas of concern and make a utilized space?
My concern as the town, as the business owner, is that if we don't address some of the concerns in the basement, do they become bigger concerns, right? So I think to be fiscally responsible, we should be maintaining our infrastructure. We can push back to the curling club on this space. I know they don't use that space. That's how the lease is written, but the other side is, it is our town building. And so if the curling club leaves that building in the future, having it in good condition is a benefit to the town. There's no benefit to the town if we let any of our buildings, rot and fall apart, just like putting money into the drop-in center to do the siding. Those kinds of things, or the crawl space over there that's in the budget. To be responsible for our infrastructure, we should be maintaining it, so.
And so I have one comment and then I'll get to you.
But their lease, like I said, their lease is written and I wrote that in here, that they're responsible for that. I just think as a building owner, we should keep that in mind at least.
Absolutely. So now we know that we've identified there's areas of concern. Have we had any type of maybe
have we gone in and got quotes as to what we're looking at financially? So the scope of work is not just limited to the $50,000 that you said, there's a big picture. And is it based on the square footage of that basement or is the areas of concern?
There was a quote done to fix up the basement, including the areas of concern.
And what was, can you say the total or,
Sorry. Thank you.
or am I,
Oh, that was our. It's in my burn.
Dawn, I don't want to put you in a position where you'll say something that.
That's fine. That information came here before.
Previous council or
That was the grant was more.
the scope of work?
Sorry, the scope of work was addressing the bathrooms. There's some water that gathers at the bottom of the stairs. We want to make sure that that's not continuing to happen. We did add some use troughs and whatnot in the last year, and then the ceiling tiles are falling. I think so, because that's not the quote I saw. I want to say it was, maybe not, okay.
So, yeah, and we remember Public Works was there in April, there was flooding in the basement and they addressed that, but go ahead.
I'm gonna make the motion that the town of Smoky Lake file this for information. We have an ACP grant that was Setna is the manager of, that's coming back, so I think that there's some really good information. Did you not refer to this already when you're speaking about the crawling building before, that there is that grant that was Setna is doing?
The recreation.
The recreation one. So I would really like to, before making any kind of decision moving forward, I'd like to do that. Also, if the senior center, although it looks like we're changing that to Orotana Hall, and which I think which is a great idea. I really would like to see this change, but for now, I'm gonna refer to the Smoky Lake Seniors Drop-In Center. They were here. They did a great job of getting grants. They did a great job of fixing the inside of that building. They have virtually worked for the exact same lease that the curling club has. So maybe senior center could do a little coaching on how to look after the inside of the building. So yeah, so I'm gonna make that motion that do we file this for information?
I have a question to that and then I'll get you. So you're referring to a recreation study. Do you think that the basement is included?
We have two studies from MPE. One is on the big building and one is on the recreation that's coming. And I think that between the two bookends, we'll have.
No, I'll go in that direction. Thanks. I'll go ahead.
Well, I'm kind of agreeing, I guess. I didn't want to file for information. I think we should support them in applying again to get the grant at this time.
So then we carry forward this amount in the event that they get the grant next year.
That would be not for right now.
I tend to agree with both of you. I'm not sure that that would be identified in the basement, but I'd like to know what the total quote is, because if we're applying for a grant that's at the value of $50,000 and we're contributing matching funds, then the town portion, again, where is the data? There's a want and a need, and then what's the outcomes? And I get what you're saying, Dawn. It's a town building and we're stewards of that building. So we need to have a plan to move forward to maintain and care for it. So at which point I'd also like to bring in that recreational study into the a subsequent motion to maybe have a review at it, because we talked about it at the joint municipality meeting, but no one has seen or reviewed a copy unless Dawn.
Oh, it's just at the beginning stages. There's a survey that was supposed to go out, but it didn't get mailed out because there's this right. Yeah,
Okay.
no, it's just
Okay,
at the
sorry.
beginning. No,
I thought it was.
no, for sure.
I thought they had already tabulated some of the data.
All we did was gave them a list of our buildings and the contacts at this point.
Sorry, then council codes.
No, apologies, sir. So somebody wants to make a friendly amendment to my file for information?
I think that I'd be voting it down or withdrawing if it, because the friendly amendment is kind of a opposite of what
Okay,
you're
it's
asking
changed,
for.
okay,
so
it's not
you're
friendly
fine.
amendment, it's gonna be
So-
changed. Okay,
I'll
well, that's
call-
my, I'll stick with my motion.
Okay, and Terry, unless you want to add to the discussion, I'm going to call the question on Evelyn's motion to file for information. All in favor? Any opposed? The motion is defeated.
Don't think that Terry can hear us any longer, so.
I think he left, because he said he told me he was leaving, but he never physically left.
I'm back already, sorry.
Hi there. So we had a motion that is, I guess I'm going to recall do you want to vote on that or are you able to vote on a defeated?
Yes, I was listening. I just couldn't get my, well, mute button off. Go ahead, what's the question again?
I made the motion that the town of Smoky Lake file this for information.
And we feel that Mel and I will not support that motion because we'd like the grant writer to reapply in the event and the hope that we can secure funding to maintain that building. So I'm going to call the question. All in favor of Evelyn's motion? Okay, thank you. Any opposed?
Yes,
So that motion is defeated. No, go ahead.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion, that Smoky Lake support the curling club in applying, reapplying for the grant, the ECP grant. Trying to look at my background, or CFCP grant, to do the repairs and update in the basement, 45 White Earth Street. And how do I say that? To reallocate
To carry forward the funds.
carry forward the funds till we hear back from that grant.
Any
From the
discussion?
board, yeah.
So now Terry's left us.
Well, apparently he's gone now.
Is there any discussion on Mel's motion? Calling the question, all in favor? Motion carried. I'd like to make a motion at this time that, I'd like to move that the administration provide a written quote of the scope of work that would be required for the basement of 45 Whiter Street to a future meeting of council. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor? Motion carried. Thank you.
So the motion was made?
Done?
Yeah. Okay. So we'll move to 8.8, business recognition, Smoky Lake Car Wash. Evelyn?
I'll make the motion that the town of Smoky Lake give recognition to Sharon and Curtis Boychuk for their commitment and contribution to the community since 2008, when they established the Smoky Lake Car Wash and Laundromat business located at 4923 Harvest Gold Drive in the form of a gift basket not to exceed $200 and provide a welcome card to the new owners, Kyle and Jackie McKay. Or Mackay, I'm not sure how they pronounce that.
All right. All in favor? None opposed, so carried.
And then, what date was that? Sorry, we did have the Facebook post in here, but this.
Tomorrow.
Okay,
Wednesday, the 18th.
so there's someone available to present that. I guess.
Carrie's gonna handle
I think we were going to it or
What's that?
tomorrow for.
Oh, ICC?
No, Mary Curtis,
Did you let me-
Oh.
it's on Wednesday.
I was like,
Oh,
I'm gonna go tomorrow.
Wednesday, sorry.
I'm going on, but I'll be going later, so you go.
Here you go.
The library.
I'm not home for 8:30.
Okay, so we'll make arrangements with Mary Ann. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, bylaw and policy 9.1, policy 322-124, business signs on town property.
Let's follow the workshop discussion. I'd like to make a motion that the town of Smoky Lake adopt policy G 2024 business signs on the property for the purpose of establishing a framework for the town to approve the installation of business signs on the town property and promote local businesses on town property along the highway.
All in favor?
Are we gonna have a discussion?
Yeah, I thought we.
So it doesn't say maintenance and removal, the town is not responsible for any damage to this sign. Can you please include graffiti or theft? It just kind of says due to sanding. I'm not sure if you want to do that as a 5.7 or include it in the 5.6 line, but there's also. That's under 5.6. Under 5.2, I think you meant to say more the CAO rather than the town. Reserves the right to remove a sign due to its unsightly appearance. Because it was following up through 4.6 through 4.9 was what the CAO can do, so it kind of it's consistent with. It's generic, it's either council or the.
Which
Do you say 5.2?
But that, sorry, no, that would state then that the CAO.
Yeah, it says the town right now, but it should be the CAO. Because when you
Yeah,
read
I
the
got you now.
definitions,
I read it
the
totally
town
wrong.
is just the corporate, like.
I read it wrong. I read it like the
Yeah.
CAO can remove the sign and I was like, well, that says the CAO.
So, yes, I'm saying that the CAO has the authority to remove a sign due to unsightly appearance. And I was just gonna say with 5.6, or 5.7, just make it clear that if the sign is damaged, you go ahead and list it, but there's others such as theft and as somebody with graffiti and so on. So if somebody comes along, graffitis it or does anything, we're not responsible for that either, so it's an addition. Is the 1.5.6 concentrated on how we might damage it through maintenance, but there's also, we take or you'll find probably the wording for it, but it's like we take absolutely no responsibility for any damage done to this sign whatsoever.
No,
Yeah, no, that's good. Can we approve it with those additions and amend it if everybody's?
yeah, that's fine with me. So the town has replaced the CAO and
Adding
5.7,
Graffiti theft, any damage.
Yeah.
By anyone, basically.
yeah,
Okay.
so, I guess is I'll call the question on the motion with the amendments.
Additions and amended.
Additions and amendments.
There's one more, 4.9, I'll give it to you here, but yeah, that, the CAO declines, with, the business location, the appeal to the decision of council. I'm gonna say, and again, if the CAO declines a request for a certain location, the business may appeal the decision to council. So, okay, that just stop you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor?
So you know what that means now?
You're the
Laser.
like carried. He's off, right?
Yeah.
Okay. 9.2, bylaw 14, 2024 elections bylaw. Got it.
Instead of having two separate RFDs, I included the cost for returning officer. We estimated it at around $7,000 for small municipalities when we compared other municipalities our size. There's a variety out there. The only reason I recommended not to go ahead with it is the cost. I'm just worried about operational costs. If you didn't like it being the CAO as the returning officer, that could be changed. Regardless of what the wording is, I can tell you it's gonna be very collaborative. Everyone in the office is gonna be doing elections, but you know, coordination, it's the CAO, Pinoka is contracted, Grimby, it's the executive assistant. Kelmar is the director of corporate services, Onaway contracts out, Lacabish is the assistant CAO, so it's all over the map, but I do need it, I would like to have it designated in the bylaw because I do need to sign a it was one of the things I added. Yeah, the voter list. I have to prepare, we have to prepare and maintain a permanent electors register, and in that agreement, the digital agreement with the province, I need to list the returning officer. So they're asking for that agreement to be sent back, but I need to know who the returning officer is. The other thing I changed in there for consideration, I had mentioned at the last meeting, I just wanted to look, like not everyone had, hardly anyone had updated their elections bylaw yet. So finding a few and knowing the changes to the Local Authorities Election Act, there is the option to require a criminal record check with a deposit. Some municipalities are doing it, others are not. It has to be in the bylaw if we want to do that. So I did put that in for your consideration as well. And if you scroll through, you can see in red, 5.1 is that, criminal record check is 5.5. And then, yeah, just if you want to make changes to the designated, if you felt that it should be somebody else. Right now I have myself and then the alternate being Crystal as the assistant CAO.
And I noticed not to compare ourselves to another municipality in the county, let's say, but another municipality advertised for a temporary contract position. Would we want to have, would there be a will of council to have an advertisement just to see if there's anyone that would come forward from the public? I know some people have retired, they might want to take that on, and sometimes it's like about the cost, but it's also about your stress level too, Dawn. I think sometimes for the training and everything, you might be tasked with certain things to be away, and then we all sat at the same, or with the exception of Evelyn, we sat at the same session at Red Deer that said, please don't have your CAO as the returning officer.
And I mean, and again, I just did it so that one of the comments that came up was that on election day, the hard questions need to be answered by the returning officer. So maybe it should be the CAO, but there's no reason it also couldn't be Crystal, or it couldn't be, I shouldn't use the names, the assistant CAO and the executive assistant or the legislative assistant as the alternate, or the other way around. Again, we're all going to be supporting in there anyways. We are planning on contracting our previous Joan to assist us in the process. I think we've contracted some staff in the past for different, like the data and whatnot as well. But it's just, the plan is Chase, Carly, Crystal, myself will take any training and all training we can take between now and the election to make sure that we are well up to date on everything. Joan will have to be updated because the act is changing. So, and if she accepts and is willing to come back, when she left, she did talk about coming back to help us, as well as other positions. If you, again, the estimate we got from the small, we've got the number from the county as well, which I won't disclose in open. But the numbers we got from smaller municipalities that did this, it was about that around $7,000-8,000 for the returning officer because of all the jobs between January 1st right up to election. The hard part is the other side, sorry, not the hard part. The other side of that is it is us working with them so they know our municipality and everything, but it would take a lot of pressure off of administration for sure. I was worried about the $7,000 cost when I think of $10,000 is 1% tax increase. And we're adding the fire and we're adding, there's all the extra to the ag and like, I just fiscally, it was like going back to the evaluation of CAO. It was, do I want to go that route? 100%. And, but it was a cost of typically $10,000 a year. This year we could have got for less, but the quotes I received were around 10,000. I just had a hard time with that, trying to be fiscally responsible. But if you guys want to go that route, we can do that and we'll include it in the next operating budget. And we can do a request for proposals if that's the route the council wants. And we'd love to have more, help.
Please don't take it the wrong way. I was just wondering if we would want to try that exercise of fishing and see if there is a contract position person out there. We didn't talk about it last meeting, so.
I'm okay with the CAO doing.
Two things, I do like the idea of what you're saying is to have, thank you, like, why not? And if we decide differently, then we've got that information instead of, making an uninformed decision. And, also, we have another bylaw. There's only been one bylaw in the books, and it's a very old bylaw, and it has to do with this $100 deposit. So the one thing that I was reading for, with Morinville is that we have to be able to use Interact. I remember, again, back in 2021, it had to be cash, but apparently municipal affairs has said, no, so there's that. And also that it also said something, I remember this, we had a motion right at the beginning, so the successful candidates get their money back. But
That's
the
it,
unsuccessful
right?
candidates,
Mhm.
they have to, then we choose a charity of our choice or something like that as well. So should that not be included in the bylaw, or you're like your point?
If you want, yeah. Because everything that's in, I brought it in case there was
Yeah.
questions, right? Because it got printed after the last meeting or it got published. There's a lot in here that's not in here. This is the
Sure.
basics on our day-to-day,
Okay.
like previously, all we had was that bylaw about the deposit. We decided to do a more comprehensive one that more reflected what a lot of other municipalities are doing.
Which I love.
So we brought that in here. I'm just, so if, I mean, we can add or delete anything you want out of this bylaw, because what isn't covered here, like there's certain things, like I said, if you want the criminal record check, it needs to be in the bylaw to say that, right? Your returning officer, like I said, my only concern is, but I'd have to, why are they popping up again? I don't know, yeah. Sorry, we've been logging out of Teams and everything, and for some reason, every now and then a message pops up. Here it says they must, and it says, yeah, the $100 deposit in the form of cash, check, or money order. So we could, an amendment to this would be or debit. Definitely, we can add that. That would be 5.5.
So if you, if anything, I'm just kind of thinking back to what you did when you came in and did what, took 3 bylaws and turned it into one community standards bylaw. I don't see us needing this older antiquated election bylaw that had something to do with deposit, which is a little bit silly that we didn't actually have what you're doing right now. That's the most important bylaw, not this other one. So can we fold it in, but.
It is. And the
Yeah, okay, well, all of the
rescinded.
information that's in it, update it, we'll get, but also bring that bylaw back so we
This
can.
has to be done by January 1st. Because elections open, nominations open January 1st. So we need the bylaw passed by December 31st. That's why, yeah. So I'd have to, but that bylaw was brought into this one, and bylaw 00, oh, that's the wrong bylaw number. 004, 2027, I'm gonna say 2017 probably. Let me double check that before we do this, because that'll be an amendment to this, is being repealed with this bylaw. So that's included, but we have to pass this today.
So I definitely want to get in there that it can be paid through, what is it?
So we'll add debit to Interact to 5.5, and we'll fix the bylaw number that's being repealed, since that's obviously not it. No?
I like the criminal record check to be added. It's in there if you guys are okay with that. I think it makes common sense if we want it. So the only problem is if this has to be done today, we have to decide if we're going to contract or use the CAO or another person, right?
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards, I'm leaning towards the bylaw the way it is right now, with the CAO. I am, I guess what I'm thinking is if we have to pay this amount of money, and then they still have to take up the time of the CAO to, I guess is where I'm coming from.
Is there a middle ground where we move forward on the bylaw with the time, being time sensitive? And then, post in the new year or?
But with this bylaw, you're pointing me and I have to fill out that digital,
Sorry,
agreement with the province and but I mean, I'd have to ask, if we approved it this way, I could ask the question, if the returning officer changes, can we update the agreement? But I'm supposed to send them an agreement with the returning officer on that agreement. But then there's other municipalities that have, like you said, the county just posted there, so there's gotta be a way around that. I guess that agreement could go later, but this bylaw has me dead, you could change it to have, you could change, it's just that agreement, but I think that's not due to December 31st, so I could do that a little later, and this could be, if you don't wanna appoint the CEO, you could change it to, as appointed by the council.
Crystal, if I may, 4 years ago, there was a motion made at council that appointed the previous CAO instead of Joan who had been, so when was that made? Was that made in like November, December before this?
I just looked it up. I think it was in 2021. But I can't find it.
Because if it was in 2021, that means that it was not made. Like what you're saying, that motion was made after
The
the fact.
permanent electors register is new.
yeah,
That's
the act.
Or is that
Yeah.
the act has changed in order to include that?
Yeah.
Okay, because I remember that motion being made.
But although they're nudging me to get this signed, I need the returning officer. But I don't think that has to be done till the new year. I could put that off. There was one municipality, I mean, it was crazy how much was
Yeah.
paid.
Then we run the risk, okay, so it's not only a financial implication, we run the risk that no one applies. And so then we wasted time and resources to make a post. So I would support the motion to move forward with the bylaw as it's presented.
With the amendment.
Yeah, I can't find the repeal part with the wrong number.
It's at the bottom of the bylaw.
What pages?
Sorry, I'm just scrolling here one sec. On page 122, and it should say an amendment to this would be 004-2017. And then add debit in 5.6, so the amendments.
All right, so it's Mary Ann's. turn. Okay, sorry, and so it's 2017.
We've done the first reading already.
Yeah. So
We're looking just for second and third reading. So it has amended.
Pardon,
114.
I'd like to move, so we've done the first reading and we're on to the second one, so I would like to move that the town of Smoky gives second reading to the bylaw number 4. That's the right number, right?
Yeah, that's
14/2024 elections bylaw to establish municipal election procedures
As amended.
Over it as amended.
as amended.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, so carried. Evelyn, would you like to make the second motion?
I'd like to make, do I need to add the as amended at the end of this one, or has that been taken care of with the second reading?
I would do as amended.
Okay. That make the motion that Town of Smoky Lake give third reading to bylaw number 14-2024 elections bylaw to establish municipal election procedures as amended.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, so carried. 9.3 bylaw 15/2024 Clean Energy Improvement Program.
This has been updated as per the representative from Alberta Municipalities who oversees the CEIP. And she reviewed it, gave some revisions, and that's what's included here if you want to either make a reading, make amendments, or all readings.
Evelyn?
I found it confusing to read when it talked about program administrator. So that is Alberta municipalities, so, or is there, because it's partway through it, it sounded like the program administrator was somebody here at town.
No, it's the Alberta Municipalities, or it's the Alberta Municipal Services Corporation operating as Alberta Municipalities, which is their wording.
So that's not like them. Okay. gonna find my edits here. And then there is somewhere where, I have it somewhere, but I have too many papers in front of me. Where it said the CAO can assign whoever the CAO wants to do it. And I'm thinking, would that not make sense that
4.3, the
Yeah,
CEO.
4.3. It's just, I mean, it's, that's typical and part of the MGA as well, is that the CAO could designate. So basically what I've done, this was the recommended bylaw that came to us, right? But what I've done, for instance, with this program is, although I've done this part, Crystal did the first part, and then I've kind of shifted it to Crystal. So she's gonna more oversee it because it really falls under finance with the grant funding or not. Again, as with everything, we do a lot together anyways, but I'm gonna shift a lot of it to Crystal. So
Yeah.
it just gives me that authority to do that. But so does the MGA, so.
okay, and then this bylaw is extremely different from other municipalities with their
Now,
bylaws.
if you look up Sturgeon Lake or Sturgeon counties,
Okay.
you'll find it's almost word for word. That was
Okay,
one
so
that was
you
recommended.
searching, but it is really different from other municipalities, what they've included. Why is farmland getting so much?
We don't have a lot, but we do have some, so it just
It's a
had been.
clean energy program where it's contractors that are coming in. and this
Homeowners apply for projects, right? And then,
Which is residential.
but homeowners of, like, property owners of the farmland could do the same, and they could apply for solar and have it go to their taxes, and it would fall under the same program.
Okay, because I saw how another.
We don't have a lot, but yeah.
Yeah, another municipal, well, because, and the reason I'm questioning that is because later on in the document, it says, because we're only applying for $1.6 million to do this. So if one of the farmlands, like, if a non-residential comes in, takes $1 million, then that doesn't leave much for the residentials. And then that's when I noticed that it's very different from other municipalities where no, the farmland did not get as much. They really did emphasize the residential. So that's why I was wondering where this was coming. You created this, or AB Munis created these amounts? Because it's very different on other municipalities.
Again, it's copied almost word for word to Sturgeon counties, which was the one that was recommended on the CEIP website as a reference. So I used that document, and then I sent it to the program rep from there, and she reviewed the document, made the recommended changes, gave us the dollar amount that she suggested. And then I made the changes and then brought it here. So if you want me to push to go back, and I could ask that question, could we remove farmland from this bylaw entirely? I could definitely do that, but again, it all comes back for approvals as well. So just because they apply for it doesn't mean they get it.
And respectfully, I think where we get into some problems too when it comes to bylaws is that when we copy them from municipalities that are not comparable to us or a little bit
But
different.
this is the one they told me to copy.
Okay,
Right, it came from them.
a lot of it just, I'm actually surprised that I really am, like, not only because of the grammar and spelling, like the mistakes that are in it. And even at one point, you use consistently I to I, but then it later on switches to A, B, but it should be there, it should be switched. So again, I know that has nothing to do with the context of the bylaw, but there's a lot of errors that were in it. So I was really surprised to hear that they approved it, and if that this is
I'd like to see
copied.
the list of errors, because
Yeah,
that would be
but
helpful, because.
Mel, you had your hand up.
I was just gonna comment on the farmland one. And I don't know, because I'm assuming, like, we do have, like, on the east side, east side of town, all the way is farm. One of them is there. And then farther south of town, we do have actually a significant amount, but not a hugely significant. I'm just wondering if the number's so big because of the space that farmland occupies, like for solar or something like that. I'm just guessing that's the only thing I could think too, because I did notice as well that it was a large amount. So, and in my mind, I was like, well, maybe because residential, you're limited to the amount of solar or things like that you can have because of the area. So I thought maybe that was I was trying to justify what that number was. That's what I came up with, but I'm prepared to make first reading of the, and then we could pass the edits on if, like, there's some things that Don wanted to see. Cause that can always be adjusted, right? So I would go ahead and make, motion that Town of Smoky Lake give first reading to bylaw 15-2024 Clean Energy Improvement Program for the purposes of establishing a clean energy improvement program.
All in favor? Any opposed? None, so carried. All right. Or that's where we're going first, or we
You can do all readings today if you want. If we don't, it just delays the next steps, that's all.
Is it time sensitive otherwise, or?
Um, no, we'll get put in the cohort. Well, there's another bylaw that's coming back as well, but this is the first step.
Okay.
But there's no urgency, it's just moving to those next steps.
Can we look into that? That just seems that for us does not seem to be applicable, but if.
Okay. All right, so we'll move the 9.4. Bylaw number 16/2024, operating expenditure borrowing.
Sorry, can I just verify? So you want me to look into the farmland part? Okay. Just want to make sure.
I mean, whatever edit.
As I said, I deliberately did not look at Sturgeon County. I deliberately looked at municipalities that were closer to us in size, and it was, in fact, the number was lower. So that's why, as soon as I saw it, I went, good, because I'm,
On the, so you log into the portal and then it says help finding your bylaw, and then there was a link to their bylaw. So that's, no, and then later as I'm looking through, I'm like, oh, well, here's all these other ones, and I did see that they were different, but this is the one that they said, here you go. So I based it on theirs. So that's why I used that one. Because they literally said, here's a link to the bylaw to help you, you know, and I used a lot of their wording and then, like I said, they're what is she called?
well, the next time
She
I'm in the
reviewed
building,
it,
I'll
so.
say to Chris, I
I'll-
don't like the wording in it.
Alberta Municipalities Program Manager for Sustainability Services. She reviewed it and provided feedback, including some, capitalization or whatever. There was a couple of those even. So she was looking at some of the grammatical and, yeah, I made all the changes and, yeah. Not to say we wouldn't miss things. No, it happens. But if you can send me the edits as well, Evelyn, and then I definitely don't, I like clean bylaws. So the more we can clean it up, the better.
All right, we will move to mayors and council reports.
No, operating and expenditure borrowing.
I think I said it. Yeah,
And we do need this passed before the end of the year. Yeah.
you good. Mary Ann?
Yeah, so this is basic standard operating procedure. We do it every year at this time. My only question is, so, this top of page 135, I get nervous on big numbers, that 500,000 is that doesn't have any impact of what we're doing. That's.
Well, and Crystal did mention here, because she wanted to make sure you guys realize, we pass this every year, but we also haven't used it. The last time it was used was July 2015. Yeah. So 9 years ago.
And so in reference to the 500,000, it's what we have in the bank, or?
It's a line of credit.
Okay, fine.
Open up the wallet, Mary Ann.
It just gives us the option to borrow as needed.
Up to 500,000. That's the maximum. Okay.
For the line of credit, yes.
Okay, so at this time, I'd like to move that the town of Smoky Lake give first reading to bylaw number 16/2024, operating expenditure borrowing bylaw for the purpose of authorizing the town of Smoky Lake to borrow for the purpose of financing operating expenditures and establish a line of credit.
Aye.
None opposed, so carried.
I'd like to make the motion that Town of Smoky Lake give second reading to bylaw number 16/2024, operating expenditure borrowing bylaw for the purpose of authorizing the Town of Smoky Lake to borrow for the purpose of financing operating expenditures and establish a line of credit.
All in favor?
Do you want me to read one for Terry?
Any opposed?
I keep not being able to push the button.
Okay,
So
Do you want-
okay, none opposed. Okay, number 3.
Terry-
Sorry, the permission.
Mike, have you?
Yeah. Terry, do you want me to read one for you on the permission for third and final?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so on behalf of Councillor Makawaichik, the council will give permission for third and final reading to bylaw number 16-2024, operating expenditure borrowing bylaw for the purpose of authorizing the town of Smoky Lake to borrow for the purpose of financing operating expenditures and establish a line of credit.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, so carried unanimously. Now,
I make a motion that Town of Smoky Lake give third and final reading to bylaw number 16-2024, operating expenditure borrowing bylaw for the purposes of authorizing the town of Smoky Lake to borrow the purpose of financing operating expenditures and establish a line of credit.
favor? None opposed.
Aye.
None opposed, so carried.
I'm voting, no. Can I just, sorry, we have, if I can interrupt, we have closed session 14.2 is a land purchase. Would you have any appetite to move that to now so that, I don't have to keep Pam here and I is that all right?
Okay,
Yep. Okay, I'll make that motion that we go into closed session as FOIP section. Yeah, okay, you're gonna do my signal.
16,
Section 16.
disclosure harmful to business interests of a third party. Let me read the rest of the words.
Then you go ahead, you make the motion.
14.3, VoIP section 17, disclosure harmful to personal privacy. 14.4, update on tax.
Want to do all of
Yeah,
them?
we're just,
Oh, okay.
yeah, update on tax recovery properties, VoIP section 17, disclosure to harmful, yeah, we said we weren't gonna do that anymore. So we're just gonna do the land one.
Yes.
I know, I see your hand up, I was like, oh crap. Okay, this is for 14.2.
Thanks in the last 24 hours, you read my mind.
Yeah.
Did you say CEO approval?
No, I said we're just doing 14.2
Oh.
land purchase VoIP section 16, disclosure harmful to business interests of the third party.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, so carried. And then a motion to go in closed.
That was the motion to go and close for that.
Carly, are you taking
Yeah,
that?
Carly.
Well, you might as well
I'll-
just keep that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll make the motion to come out of closed session.
all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, so carried, and
So, do you want now or what?
yeah.
I move that the town of Smoky Lake consider disposing of lot R-2, block 12, 419 7 by first removing the designation of reserve by way of public hearing.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, so carried. All right, do we go back to, we have just a couple of quick things, I think. Yeah, let's go back.
I can go, if you'd like, I can do 10.1. I move again to, that the town of Smoky Lake accept for information the mayor, councillor, and committee report items A to Z as follows. Councillor Mel Morton, Deputy Mayor Marianne Protsky, and Councillor Evan Coates.
Did you have?
I have my hand up.
Put your hand up.
I just wanted, if it's all right with council, we are changing our deadlines for our RFPs internally, and we'd like to change council's deadline to Monday at noon. And that way, if there is something a little bit late by Tuesday, it's still early enough for us to easily slip it into the agenda. But we're setting some earlier deadlines for us to ensure that we're able to more thoroughly review the agendas.
So saying
Right?
Tuesday, but Monday.
No, Monday at noon.
But I heard Tuesday, guys.
Because I know it, it's, you guys all have other full-time positions and whatnot and lives, so it's not always easy to get to them. So if you're all right with that, we're gonna change the deadline. We'll send out, Carly will send out an updated reminder. That's all I had to say. Thank you.
All in favor?
Not the deadline.
So does that mean that, do you want a motion for that or?
No,
Okay.
just telling you and making sure you guys are
Okay,
okay
and
with
does
it.
that mean that the agenda's coming out on Wednesday?
No, it's allowing us more time to actually review the completed agenda because they're errors.
All in favor?
You know, in response to that, Mary Ann, it's in the procedural bylaw, which you have full authority to make changes to, so.
Okay, moving on, 11.1, a support for Alberta Community Partnership Grant application. Evelyn?
I'll make the motion that Town of Smoky Lake write a letter of support to the Northeast Community Corps Limited for the Alberta Community Partnership ACP grant application to complete design plans for 9 major staging areas along Alberta's Iron Horse Trail in reference to the letter sent from Mary Ann Jenkins, Executive Director, Northeast Community Corps Limited, dated November 25th, 2024.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, so carried. 11.2, ML?
I'd like to make a motion that Town of Smoky Lake purchase and install 2 no parking signs 50 meters away from the established crosswalk located between the Smoky Lake Agricultural Society Complex, 4612 54th Ave, and HAK School, 4805 54th Ave, not to exceed $300 in reference to the request sent by Kelly Montgomery, School Council President, dated December 2nd, 2024, to be funded from the 2025 operating budget.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, so carried. 13.1, regional GIS.
So we already made a motion to support the applying regionally, but they wanted a motion, another motion. You sign the agreement. Yes.
Here, I'll give it to you to read.
It's just renewing our regional
Yeah.
GIS.
So,
Mary Ann?
I'd like to move that the town of Smoky Lake approve to re-enter the regional GIS agreement with the town of Smoky Lake, Village of Wilsetna, and the Village of Vilna for the purpose of outlining roles and responsibilities relating to the regional geographic information system, parentheses GIS, facilitated through Octillis Technologies Canada Limited software products and services contracts to coincide with the new 5-year term commencing January 1st to 2025 and ending December 31st, 2021.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, so carried. And I'll get a motion to go into closed for 14.3. Tepelitsky lease, FOIP section 17, disclosure harm both the personal privacy.
So can I ask a question? I know we talked about it and you already referenced it. Are we coming in and out of closed for each?
Or I had a suggestion, but we can scrap it, because I thought maybe if we go into closed, as long as there's no interest, so pecuniary or conflict in the closed, we're okay to go in for all, but if there is, to definitely come right back out and do it. I don't know, but if you guys are more comfortable.
We can do it. It's just, it is a process.
Yeah.
And I need these guys to,
know
yeah,
what
be
it
here
is.
for it.
Yeah.
And yeah. So it's up to you. I just, we talked about it, but there was never a motion to change anything or, which is fine. You don't need a motion. You can just agree. But I just heard, so if, as I heard it again today, is that the route you want to go?
I just want to make sure any,
Or what Amy said when
yeah,
there's a.
but I mean, it's, you guys would rather come in and out, that's okay. I just thought as long as there's nothing that should come out and be handled right away, so there's nothing that's forgotten and we're all tired at the end.
I like the idea of coming in and out simply because sometimes we go into closed session for such a long period of time. And to me, that actually looks bad on us, that we are in closed session for so long. And even ourselves, we end up sometimes, and then we come out and it was like, oh, what is that motion again? And that, so I think I really do, I've never liked the way that we've been doing it. So I would really prefer it if we could just do the in and out. I know it's a little bit more work, but I think it's actually.
Mary Ann, do you have a argument?
I'm good either way.
Mel?
I actually, I think it's more efficient to go in and do it all and come out. But I actually think we should go in and out because we have had, I know it's a pain, but it is difficult. We have a discussion, 4 topics in, and it's been an hour since we talked about the first one, and then we're going, what did we say?
Terry?
At least we're very clear.
Yep, Terry?
Yeah, in and out is probably the best.
Okay, well, we'll go in and out because it's.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'm good, especially today with maybe,
There's only top 5.
Yeah. All right, so a motion to go into closed. And I already said okay, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, so carried.
He's got that.
All right, I have a motion to come out of closed.
I can go ahead and make that motion to come out at 4:52.
All in favor? None opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, carried. Mel?
Okay, I would like to make a motion that the town of Smoky Lake execute the 3-year lease effective start date January 1st, 2025 with Edward Kalitsky for the purchase of harboring and grazing cattle, baling. Ancillary uses for the town-owned lands located in Smoky Lake County, legally described as Northeast 31-61-17. That's the 4 comprised of 80 acres.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, so carried.
That was very distracting.
We got a motion to go back into closed. 14.4, update on tax recovery properties, avoid section 17, disclosure of alcohol. Personal privacy. Sure, you make that amendment. All in favor?
Aye.
I didn't
None
write it.
opposed, so carried. All right, I'll get a motion to come out of closed.
I could move.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, so carried, and
I'll make that motion.
okay. Oh, you'll make the motion to accept for information?
I'll make the motion that Town of Smoky Lake, except for information as per in a closed session discussion.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, so carried.
Probably should say regarding,
Update on tax recovery properties.
that's what I would like to
Okay.
add.
Okay. All right, motion to go back into closed. Mel?
Make motion to go to closed session for CAO performance appraisal, FOIP section 19 confidential evaluations.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, so carried. Motion to come out of closed session. Evelyn?
I'll make that motion.
All in favor?
Yes.
None opposed, so carried. All right, so we've decided to defer the CAO appraisal to January 6th. And we'll do a 10 o'clock meeting. And then we'll just have you provide.
I'll keep these, yeah.
These, and then, the grid, like your pay.
Oh, right, yep.
The benefits. Of the courses that you've taken, I have it written here, so. The green sheets and, your expenses for the year. For training, right? What it meant.
The entire expenses.
My expenses aren't tracked separately.
Oh.
But I have like a couple of claim sheets, I guess. Yeah, I don't have much. Yeah. But just so you know, like, you guys have a separate GL that count your individuals go in, mine don't work that way, so if I bought a book or something for the office, it's not tracked for me, it's tracked as admin. But my specific, any travel expenses, or I haven't taken any courses, so, but yeah, I can bring that.
Right,
Conferences.
so the motion would be just deferring, that's the motion. Defer the, like what I said, but
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll call, I'll make that one, so all in favor of the motion.
Aye.
None opposed, so carried, and meeting is adjourned at 5:00.